had to entice the dog out of him.
Oh.
He's still not gone. Okay, hello everybody.
Hello.
Hi, hi. I see we have,
Hello.
besides us who we can see face to face or by telephone, Rob.
Yep.
We have a total, I see, of 43 people here. So we have a lot of people who are interested on our agenda. We have 4 items on the agenda. I don't think we're going to have equal time for each item. I think some will be quicker than others. This is Manhattan Community Board 4, Business License and Permits Committee. Welcome you. I think most of you have been here before. Familiar faces, those on the committee and those coming before the committee. Welcome, welcome. Frank, would you like to say something about how we operate?
Sure. For those of you who are used to Zoom, this is actually what's called a Zoom webinar, which means the only people you're seeing on screen are the BLP committee members and the applicants and their representatives. Everyone else is listed as what's called a participant, where you can see and hear everything happening in the main room, but you cannot speak until you get moved into the main room. And the way that'll work is as we call each agenda item, if you want to speak on that item, please either send a chat to Nellie Gonzalez or raise your hand electronically. And Nellie will then move people into the main meeting one at a time so they can speak. We're going to ask people, because we anticipate having a fair number of people speaking, that everyone limit their comments to 2 minutes. And also, if you are simply going to repeat what has previously been said, either in support or opposition to an applicant, you can simply say that you're here in support of applicant X, and the points you're going to make have all been previously made. We'll all appreciate your saving time. The way this works, we'll call the agenda in the order it's set out, and at the end of the discussion, this committee will take a vote and make a recommendation to the full Community Board 4, which will take its own vote on these matters on its next meeting on July 22. Just as at this meeting, anyone can address the full board for 2 minutes. So if you are unhappy or happy about what happened today and want to speak to the full board, you're welcome to do that on July 22. It's also conducted by Zoom. The full board then makes a recommendation to the State Liquor Authority, which in most cases will hold a 500-foot rule hearing. And then also, depending on if there's community board opposition, may also be held at a hearing before the 3 SLA commissioners. My understanding is that both of those, both the 500-foot hearings and the SLA hearings are being done on Zoom, obviously, but with no participation by the public at the meetings. You need to submit everything in writing.
Yeah, I would like to add, I'd like to add something else. Just some Zoom etiquette, which we're probably by after 4 months, we're all familiar with, but I just want to repeat it. When you're not speaking, please remain on mute so we don't have any interfering noise. And I don't know how many people here are on phone. I know Rob from our committee is here on phone. I don't know, Nellie, can you tell if anybody else is here by phone? I just want to point out that on your phone, you could also mute yourself, and you could also raise your hand on the phone.
I have 2 people as attendees that called in.
Okay. Do you remember what the, it's star 6 and star 8? Or to mute and to raise your hand on the phone? Okay.
I don't recall off the top
You
of my
don't
head.
recall.
Right.
Okay. Okay. We're only 3 on the
I will
phone
look
right
it
now.
up.
Okay. And
What
I just want to say that the our population has increased since we first started. We're up to 52 people.
just to remind everyone, pursuant to the directive that allows us to meet in this fashion, this meeting is being broadcast live on the CB4 YouTube channel. It's also being video recorded, and the video has to be made publicly available. So I urge everyone to keep that in mind when you make your comments and the tenor in which you make them. Thanks.
And Twee just notified us on the chat function, star 6 to mute, star 9 to raise your hand if you're on a phone. I got to remember that. Thank you. Did someone else have their hand up? Okay, very good. I just want to say one more thing also. When we have on the agenda, the applicant comes forward, and then the committee can ask questions and have a discussion. And I think on the committee here, we've worked enough together that we can not necessarily need a traffic cop, that we can respect each other and talk as we want. And shall we proceed to item number 1? Okay. Item number 1 is not a new license. It's an alteration of an existing premise, 149 West 14th Street. Chama Mama, they want to use their rear yard, hours of 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Who's here for Chama Mama?
Hi everyone, Tamara is here from Chama Mama.
And I'm Zara Lucas from Elke Hoffman Law. So like you mentioned, the application before you is for an alteration to permanently add the backyard space to the existing licensed premises. The backyard, Chama Mama, for those of you that don't know, they have been operating for just about a year now. It's a modern, there she is. Did I lose Tamara? It's a modern Georgian restaurant, and they have become quite a hub there on 14th Street in the neighborhood. And Tamara can speak a little bit about the business and how things are going. And so the application right now is to add the 900 square foot backyard to the licensed premises. The maximum occupancy of that area will be 45. Considering the social distance restrictions right now, it's a little less than that, and I'll have Tamara speak about you know, what she's done to kind of make the space suitable for dining in a safe way. But long term, the main reason for the application is so that she can continue to use this space beyond the current COVID exception of that allows them to, you know, use the backyard area. And yeah, Tamara, as required, did some outreach. She got some letters from neighbors, from tenants in the building next door, and in 2 buildings next door, I believe. I think she got about 4 or 5 letters that were sent over to the board. And I can let her tell you a little bit more about her restaurant and you know, the service that they provide the community. But it's a pretty, you know, basic application. Tamara, you might.
Hi, yeah. Hi everyone. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm very lucky to be in this community, and We've been operating for a little over a year, and we had a wonderful year. Very welcoming community and neighborhood, and I feel very lucky. It was just about a year anniversary in March when the unfortunate COVID started, and we haven't closed for one day. We went through the different adjustment changes in just overnight, and I would like to say thank you to the community again, because I have wonderful people who've been ordering and supporting Chama Mama tremendously, so thank you. Because of what's happening now, we're trying to plan for the future as much as we can, even though we don't really know what's going to happen. I'm also very lucky to have the backyard, and we are taking a very good care of it. I decided to bring some plants, umbrellas, and of course have the tables with maximum social distancing and all the necessary protocol for the outdoor dining. It's been working. I have people from the neighborhood and community coming over, thanking us, and they're enjoying the space as much as we do. And just because we do not know what's going to happen in fall or next year, I would like to have the opportunity to have the backyard to continue to be open and serve the community. I guess that's what we're doing here, and I'm ready to answer your questions.
Okay. Just like to clarify a couple of things, because when I've reviewed the comments we've gotten from the community, there seems to be some confusion. You are not going to have any music at all in the rear yard. Is that correct?
Not in the backyard. No,
Yeah.
we
So
do not have music. We're not planning to have music in the backyard.
Okay. And what are your closing hours? On the form, you said you would go by the recommended community board closing hours of 10 p.m. on weeknights and 11 on Friday and Saturday. But I guess some people in the community say you've told them you close at 10?
Well, I'm closing at 10 p.m.
Every day?
Every day, every single day.
And you're going to continue to do that?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And close
We put-
means closed and vacate, all the patrons have to be gone.
Absolutely. We've
Okay.
actually put our last reservation at 8:30, and every guest knows that they have full 90 minutes for entire dining experience. So that's enough time to come in, have a nice meal, and to have a good night, I guess, at 10 p.m.
Okay. We sort of have a threshold matter with this application. There are two people who live on 15th Street and whose back of buildings abut, this shared area, have asked that we put this off until September because they say many of their neighbors who might be concerned about this and want to be heard, are not in town and may not know this is happening. Bert and I didn't want to make that decision on our own because we're concerned by just sort of agreeing to that kind of adjournment. It essentially blocks them out of the whole summer, which is sort of the purpose of all this outdoor dining thing. So I want to get the committee's sense about whether we want to go forward with this or adjourn it, ask the applicant to adjourn it until September.
I also want to say that Nellie, Frank, and I did a site visit. And this backyard is unique in the sense that the backyard to be used is not behind the actual restaurant, because there are I think it's three adjoining buildings. So you leave the restaurant and then there's a passageway to the backyard, which is behind the two adjoining buildings. And this is on the north side of 14th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. And so there's the backyard, and then there's the backyards of the south side of 15th Street. And behind them, if I remember correctly, is a small apartment house. Two small apartment houses. And with the social distancing, well, you can figure it out. The tables are not close together. We know what it is, and there's no music. But let's get back to the suggestion of a postponement, which, as Frank and I discussed, we thought completely
Let's continue with this.
undermines the whole purpose of having the backyard. Christine.
Yeah. So I have two questions, clarification before we get to that discussion. The first one is with the physical distancing, what is the occupancy of the backyard now?
I apologize. The diagrams that we submitted, so we submitted 2 sets of diagrams. So the diagrams showing the standard layout when the backyard, is not in use during the cold weather, the interior right now.
I'm asking for a number and
Yes,
number of the
so I was just detailing that I included 2 diagrams, one that included the standard and then one that included the social distance numbers, and that is 2, 4.
26.
Yes, it's 26.
With the distancing, okay.
26 seats, 26 seats.
Yeah.
Right, 26 seats.
And that's
And
diagram.
and now you were saying that you have been operating this with alcohol services since the beginning of the open dining protocol or not? I was not clear about that.
So the SLA has, when they initially announced the temporary service outside, they required that we submit the diagrams to them with what the space that will be used. The main purpose of the application is so that right now it's set to expire on August 5th, that she can continue to use the backyard permanently.
I'm not asking that. You're not answering my question. My question is, since the approval of open dining by the city and the SLA, have you been operating this backyard with liquor services? Yes or no?
Tamara?
Yes or no? Oh yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's been having service out there because she submitted the diagrams to the SLA for the temporary.
But I thought the protocol was that you had to come to the community board for doing that when it was a backyard, right? Frank?
Yes. So, and I'm reading from the SLA's guidance. If a licensee's existing license operates with stipulations restricting the use of outdoor areas, which yours do, through a municipality or other entity, such licensee must submit a letter from the municipality or other entity with which it has stipulated approving such additional outdoor use of premises. So when you came before us in 2018, you stipulated not to use the backyard. Therefore, my reading of this is you needed a letter, you need to get a letter from us saying we agree to waive those stipulations, and that has to go to the SLA before you can serve alcohol back there.
Okay, I think that was an initial misunderstanding, because what we had discussed initially, not with you guys, between us and the client, was when the SLA had proposed the external, the outside dining exception, they had not, it wasn't exactly clear how the CB protocol was going to be incorporated into that. And it was that we would submit the diagrams over to them, with the space, and that's something that Tamara has done. So
okay, all right. So now, so the bottom line is, like, now for the last 2-3 weeks, whatever it is, you have operated the backyard without the proper approval. And so the first discussion is that. The second discussion is it okay to operate in the backyard with the distancing, with that capacity, and for what time? I mean, timeline, it could be, say, so if we go back to make an approval as it should have been 3 weeks ago, we would have said, okay, you are okay or not to do it during the summer. And then that's the first discussion we could have before we have even the discussion of the long term. Right, Frank?
Yes. And in fact, one way of sort of dealing with the whole adjournment thing might be
Exactly.
to decide whether we're going to give them a letter now allowing temporary use
Right.
under outdoor dining, and then have them come back in September for
Exactly.
for a permanent alteration.
That would be my suggestion.
So the only comment I'll have to that is right now the SLA's permissions are until August 5th. One would assume that it would be in line with the current states and the city's exceptions for outdoor dining, but it's not. We can only hope that they'll grant an extension past August 5th. Is September, you're not having a meeting in August?
We are having a meeting in August, but the request from the community was to wait until September when people would be back in the city.
It was a request from some people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
really don't think we should use the word the community. It's a request from some people.
So-
I would, going along with what Christine has proposed, I would have a date of October 1st.
Me
As it-
too.
I would use October 1st.
Yeah.
And we do have a meeting every month. We're the only committee on Community Board 4. We work throughout the year. We never go on vacation.
So to that end, given that also that we are all meeting virtually now, instead of waiting till the September meeting to discuss this, should we discuss it in the August meeting? And that also gives the community members who wanted to join and share their thoughts more time to get this on their calendar.
Right, because it shouldn't matter. They should be able to get word out to their neighbors, even if they're out of town.
Because
And it doesn't matter where you are. And
If I could
the
mention-
advantage of doing that is if the SLA sticks with this August deadline, which I hadn't heard of and doesn't really make sense to me. But I'll believe you, since very little of this has made sense to me for the past 3 weeks, I don't doubt that's what they're saying.
a lot of the dots don't connect, but
Yeah.
but Tamara had been placed on last month's agenda, and we were held over until this month. So she had posted, and it was obviously on the website as of early, back in June.
Yeah.
And so I think 2 months so far now it's been since initial notice. I think is sufficiently, like, I'm in New Jersey. I'm sure many of you are in other places around outside of New York right now. And so I don't necessarily, it would be very helpful should the SLA decide to take their own path, to chart their own path as far as licensing goes. If you, perhaps would consider, we can revisit whether we can come back in August instead of it being a fixed October revisit.
I think if we settle on October as the temporary end of the temporary permit approval, you can come back anytime between now and October. If you can come back in August, you can come back in September. Because probably by September, maybe the SLA will have some more clarity on what they're doing. But I would stay with October 1st, giving you leeway.
Yeah, but I think, Bert, we should, if we're going to go this, have them come back for the permanent alteration. I think, we should come up with some agreed schedule so we don't have this debate again, whether, it should be waiting till September with, the certain members of the community.
I understood, but what I'm saying is, saying October 1st, the SLA may not come up with something on the schedule that we think they're coming up with. So this gives us possibilities.
I agree.
Okay?
Okay.
And I'd like to hear, I know we heard from a couple people, Christine and Wendy. I'd like to have some other people on the committee, if they have something to say.
This is Rob. I agree with what Christina was saying. I just would like to ask one question. There's a door going to the patio. Is that a French door, or is that going to be closed all the time? or is it going to be open during service?
It's a closed door, and we open when we take out food and when we let the customers go in and out.
Okay, thank you.
We have written submissions, 4 in support and 3 in opposition. But Nellie, how many people want to speak on this?
Well, Brian had his hand raised and Inga raised her hand. I
No, I
have,
meant from the public, from the
from the
community.
public, I have one person.
Okay.
Okay, so
Who's
let's hear
that?
from Brian, Inga, and then the person from the public.
I lowered my hand. It was about letting them proceed regarding the first issue.
Thank you, Brian. Inga?
I'm in agreement with the October, and I also had a question about the French doors as they are on the application. As long as those stay closed, I'm good with the October 1 date.
Okay. And the member of the public, Nellie?
Okay, hold on one second.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello. My name is Nat Rahav. I live at 141 West 15th Street. I just want to say that I really appreciate Chama Mama as a restaurant and as a place for the community to gather. I often dine there, and I was really sad when I wasn't able to go there during the shutdown. The backyard space is a really, really special place, and I feel like they operate it very low-key, very elegantly. It's such a perfect match for the community. I really love going there, and I'm just affidavit in support.
Thank you, Nat.
Thank you. Nellie, Roberta Lawrence, who I guess is a participant, says she wants to speak.
Yes, she disappeared. Hold on one second. Where did she go? Okay. Okay, Roberta?
Yeah, can you see me? Can you see me or you hear me or
We
what?
can hear you, Roberta. I don't see you.
Oh, well, I actually have pictures. Hi, everybody. I just want to make something clear. I live at 154 West 15th Street. I've been there for over 30 years. Our backyard abuts the backyard of the 147, 149 building, the space that Tamara wants to use. That building was built 99 years ago. That outdoor space has never been used for a commercial enterprise. The sound carries unbelievably. It would be a chronic noise nuisance. All the backyards that are the fronts, and I've sent you pictures. Nellie, did you get those today? I sent you pictures so you could see the positioning of the rear yard that Tamara wants to use to our apartments. It's less than 28 feet from my apartment. We have glass walls in the back of our apartments. Even with the doors closed and the windows closed, I'm able to hear people talking and glasses clinking at Chama Mama. There's no noise mitigation that I can even imagine that will work. It's destroying the fabric of the rear yard neighborhood between 15th and 14th Street. Servicing a community by providing food is not the same as having an investment, living here, paying property taxes for 30 years. And I'm not going to be able to open my windows in the saddle seasons. Even with the air conditioner on, I could hear every sound. So while you're all talking about extending liquor license and use of the patio, I've basically lost my whole right to peaceful, quiet enjoyment in my home. I've been there 32 years. I've seen the neighborhood evolve and transform. I have never seen a restaurant open in anybody else's backyard, and I don't approve, and I object vehemently to this. There is no way that you would you want this in your backyard? Would you want this noise going on every night till 11? Well, first of all, there's a noise abatement in New York at 10. So the application also, there's a lot of things wrong with this application that I can see that Chama Mama made. First of all, I believe there is a Jehovah's Witness church and building within 200 feet from that backyard. I think it's number 148. It used to be the nunnery. There's just so many things. Corporate events. Chama Mama is going to have corporate events in that backyard. So I'm going to have to hear people on their third bottle of wine. We had a noise issue Saturday night. I would like to hear from Tamara how is she's going to get, when she gets a call from let me just explain something else. We know most of our neighbors in the backyard. If the building next to me has new tenants and they're making noise in the balcony, I can call the property manager and he explains to them, no outdoor voices, even though it's an outdoor area. You all live in New York, right? Well, I assume you do. So aside from looking at it as, helping a business, why can't Community 4 work with the DOT and the City Council to allow restaurants between 6th and 7th Avenue and 14th Street to use one of the lanes in 14th Street? It's already been closed to regular traffic. There's beautiful tented outdoor dining coming up everywhere. Please don't put this in my backyard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lawrence, I think some of the confusion you're seeing on their application is that the main part of the application is for their indoor use. So for example, on page 2, where they say they're going to close at 11 and have background music, that is indoors. If you look at the page about, outdoor items, you'll see they've agreed not to have music and to close, and they've just confirmed they will close it and vacate by 10 o'clock every day of the week. Before we have some further discussion, let me just summarize the other written comments from the community. I'm a neighbor and frequent visit to Chama Mama restaurant, living above the backyard at 145 West 14th Street on the 2nd floor, rear facing. I love Georgian food and so happy that Chama Mama is here. Many small businesses have suffered, but Tamara's worked hard to keep the restaurant going, and with minimal staff, she's been delivering orders during this time. I highly support her and her team. She's a great businesswoman. I've not seen or heard any noise coming in from the backyard since they have opened. I've seen how much Tamara and team care about preparing a safe environment for their guests, a true Georgian hospitality, which is much appreciated by people who visit. I love that the restaurant keeps open in the evenings and opens midday, as these are very reasonable time frames for outdoor activities and do not cause any disturbance living here. The second one, I live nearby and can see their lovely, beautiful garden that Tamara's created for her customers. I can see out my window how nice it is and what a treat to have such an outdoor space in these trying times. I will say that I've not heard any loud, disturbing noises or music or anything out of the ordinary. I actually am a noise-sensitive person and would be the first to complain, but I have no complaints. She's really enhanced our neighborhood by creating a top-notch restaurant that has been beautifully decorated and highly praised by many excellent reviews. The space was a dark space that remained empty for quite a while until she brought some light and decor into it. The backyard was also a dump. Now it's a garden where people could eat and enjoy themselves. The string of lights are very low key, are shut off after 10 p.m. and the backyard is empty. For those lucky enough to see it from their windows or rooftops, I'm sure they will agree it's like a little piece of heaven for those who usually face cement, brick walls, and even dirt backyards. I will and can attest that I've never been disturbed by the garden being used at any time of the day or night. Next one, I live above Chama Mama, and I'm a regular there. I know the owner, who's always around whenever I visit and always greets me in a most welcoming manner. Today I stopped by to see the backyard, which he just opened, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. So much greenery, cute lights, tables being socially distanced. I must say that I've not heard any disturbance from the Chama Mama backyard since it is opened to the outdoor dining. There's no music and no large parties, as the restaurant maintains social distancing rules and closes by 10 p.m. I can easily say that I've never been disturbed by the backyard being used, and it always closes at the right time in the evenings. Chama Mama has always been a place where people enjoy quiet and tasteful meals with wine. Never have I heard any disturbance, even when it was packed pre-COVID, because it's very popular in New York. And then finally from Pam Wolf, former CB4 board member and from the Chelsea West 200 Block Association. Thank you for reaching out. I wish you good luck with your excellent restaurant. Hope you'll find ways to stay afloat in these difficult times and look forward to dining in your rear yard in the future. Then in addition to Ms. Lawrence, we got 2 objections. They're fairly long, but I'll try to summarize them. And again, just so everyone knows, these were posted to the full committee to read in a Dropbox. So these and all the photos and things have been available to the committee in advance of the meeting. Dear Nellie, I'm the landlord representative of 152 West 15th Street, which is a multifamily dwelling. I've just learned of your hearing. This is an unprecedented use of the rear yard, and it should not be allowed for the amount of noise and other nuisances it will create in this purely residential rear yard. My investment is seriously jeopardized by the alteration of the open space into a restaurant. My building directly abuts the rear yard of 149 West 14th, and a noisy restaurant with music playing negatively impacts my tenants' quiet, peaceful enjoyment of their homes and my ability to rent the apartments. I join with my neighbor building and residents of 154 West 15th in requesting that the hearing be adjourned to September, and all impacted owners and residents have had proper notice and given a chance to review the supporting documents. Then some points they make, they've been told it would close at 10, but they're asking to close at 11. I think we've discussed this. The owner assured me that she was only seeking temporary use of the outdoor space. The application says there'll be music outside. That is unacceptable. We discussed that. And then we have a similar statement from a resident of 154 West 15th Street. Basically makes the same points. And then Ms. Lawrence has submitted a couple emails and photos, but she has spoken directly. Back to you, Bert.
Do I hear a resolution? Inga?
Bert, I'd like to speak before you call.
Okay, Mike, you haven't spoken yet, sorry.
Yeah. Let me get something clear here. What is it specifically that puts you to an October return for this applicant rather than September? Because if it's all to do with a couple of people who are out of town, there's no sympathy there from me. People communicate through these Zooms from anywhere on the planet now. And I don't think if you're absent, you should have been in town anyway, like the rest of us, if this is that important to you.
Yeah, Mike?
If that's the reason, well, forget about it. Yeah.
Mike, no, the reason I picked October 1st, in terms of weather, summer officially goes through the middle of September. Use of the backyard, it might be appropriate through a couple of weeks in September. That's why I picked October 1st.
Yeah, Mike.
Not because of the availability. I mean, I've been on Zooms with the people from off-planet who've been on the Zoom. So,
all the time.
Mike, we're talking about 2 different deadlines. The October 1st deadline is the date we were considering voting on a temporary use of the backyard through October 1. Separate from that, they want to come back at some point for permanent alteration to use the backyard. And we were discussing possibly doing that in August, which would give the opposing community members another month to organize and be available for the August Zoom meeting.
Okay,
All right, fine.
I'm a little
That
confused.
clears it up, Frank. That's fine by me. That sounds good.
okay.
Is she allowed to use the backyard per the SLA through October 1st currently?
Well, according to her lawyer, the SLA at the moment is only saying through August 5th, but we don't think that's gonna stick because all of the open streets goes till I think September 1st or September 15th. And the open sidewalks goes till October 1. And the SLA is okay with that. So if they're okay with that, I can't believe they won't be okay with rear yard use.
We're assuming that gets extended through
Right.
October 1.
We're assuming, yeah.
If it isn't, we can discuss it at our August meeting.
All right.
When they come back
Okay.
with the alteration.
Did you have a resolution? Inga?
I think we should definitely go with the October 1 date. That gives people a little bit of time to think about it. And when we come back in August, they can pipe in then as well, make comments. I mean, we'll get an update definitely in August. And I think it's reasonable to go to October 1. So I make a motion to approve it temporarily until October 1.
I
Christine?
second that.
Okay. We got a second. All in favor? Could you raise your hands? Or do we have to have a, Nellie, do we need to have a roll call? Or a hand sufficient?
Hand is sufficient. I'm looking at the screens. It's fine.
Okay, all in favor? All
Aye.
opposed?
Opposed? Two of you are opposed?
I mean, I wanted to speak, but the reason why I took myself off of video is because I'm charging my phone and I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can.
And we could hear you.
Okay. It seemed a little too late to ask questions, so I wasn't sure. That's why I'm opposed.
Okay, we're in the middle of a vote, so you're opposed. And Inga, you're opposed as well, even though you made the resolution. Okay, I saw you raise your hand. You're mute.
I'm for it. I'm not opposed.
Oh, because your hand was raised, maybe you just eating.
Kept it up there.
Oh, okay. All those abstaining?
Did we hear how Rob voted?
Yes, Rob said yes.
Okay.
Am I correct, Rob?
You are correct.
Okay. Abstaining, present, not eligible? I think it passes.
Okay. So just so we're clear, this is through October 1, closed and vacate by 10 p.m. every day. No music out there, and the door has to be,
Closed.
whenever it's not used for service or exit and entering.
Okay.
And Zara, could you try to figure out what the SLA wants from us on this? We haven't faced this yet. I'm assuming it's just a letter.
Yeah, I know it's all new and no one knows, for a lot of these things and the communication between the state and the city, and hasn't been great, but yeah, we can
All
certainly.
right, we'll try to find out too, but anything you can do. And Bert, we want them coming back in August?
You want to come back in August? Because if we have clarification from the SLA about the August 5th deadline.
Okay.
If that's still up in the air, then we'll see what happens.
Clarification, and the occupancies for the 26th, right?
Yes, because she will get a fine. That's the one thing the SLA, they have been they've been enforcing. She will get a fine if there isn't social, the 6 foot.
No, but what I'm saying is that if in 3 weeks the governors say, okay, that's good, no more distancing in the restaurants, we want still to stick with the 26th.
Well, it would have to be temporarily until we get the approval for the permanent.
I'm just clarifying.
All right.
Thank you for the clarification, Christine.
Okay.
And Zara. Thank you both. Can we move on?
Yeah, Bert, just let me address Ms. Lawrence and the other community members. So what we've done is we've said we're not going to object to their using the rear yard on a temporary basis through October 1. And they will be returning next month at our committee meeting, which is August 11, to present the permanent alteration application. So if you would get word out to your neighbors or anyone who might be concerned about that, they can either submit written comments or appear and speak at the Zoom meeting in August.
And also remind everyone that we're making a recommendation. I'm assuming, even though it's not traditional, we're still making a recommendation to the full board, and it has to be voted on by the full board. And at the full board, there's the public session. Everyone has 2 minutes to speak. Okay, let's go on to item number 2 on the agenda, 856 10th Avenue, the Gin.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We could hear you. We don't see you. We could hear you.
Yes, I didn't turn on the video because my hair is really messy right now. Sorry. Okay, my name is Jenny Hong. I'm actually appearing on behalf of the Gin Restaurant Corp. Well, this corporation is already an existing restaurant. He was running about more than a year now because he started in January of last year. But he had an issue with the corporation name that he uses right now, which is the current, the corporation name is Beacon Capital Corp. He actually received a legal copyright something. He had some kind of issue for him using that name. So he had to go ahead and actually apply for new corporation. So everything is the same. The applicant is the same, the owner, everything is the same, but except that he had to change the corporation. Because the name prior that he used was Beacon Capital, and that was an issue. I don't know why. So he didn't want it to do with the legal, stuff. So he decided to just open up a new corporation and under the same new tax ID. Everything is the same.
Okay, just a couple of questions about your outside dining. Are these tables on the sidewalk or the street?
I think it's in the front side because I spoke with the owner and he already applied for the tables in the front side. I believe he has 5 tables. I haven't seen it yet, but he told me that he was going to apply and report it to the DOT, and he will be using 5 tables. And the operating hour would be starting from 10 o'clock. 10, let me see. No, it's 12 actually. From 12 to 9 o'clock currently.
Okay.
How can it be?
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is that there is the ramp. Where is he going to put the tables?
Well, I have not physically seen it because he told me he was going to propose. He's going to report it to the DOT. And then he said
so he's going to apply. He's going to apply for.
Oh, yeah, I think he already did. But like I said,
the dining. But he's applying for dining in the street, right?
Yes, I believe so. I think in the front. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One, Christina, I can't believe you didn't notice this. One thing that has been a major concern has been establishments keeping windows open and blaring music outside to reach the street tables. And I see on your form you say the applicant might play quiet music during the period of COVID-19.
Yes.
Quiet music,
yes.
It doesn't make any sense because if it's really quiet, it doesn't, people dining on the street don't hear it. And if it's loud enough for the people on the street to hear it, it's bothering a lot of other people.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'd urge him not to play music.
That's fine, because he was telling me that he will play the recorded music that is going to be inside. So I don't know if I'm sure he's not going to put any speakers through outside. And then I'll make sure that he will not open the French door. It's going to be remain closed.
Okay. So I'm going to change your answer on the form.
Yes.
Okay. Saying you'll keep them closed.
Yeah.
Without the playing music. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Doors closed, no speakers, and no windows open.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody on the committee have any questions? Anybody from the public do we have?
No.
No? No?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mike and Robert, ayes. All those opposed? Abstaining, present not eligible. I think it passed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to what was number 4, though it's actually number 3. Of course, number 3 on our original agenda as withdrawn, postponed. Number 4 is 350 West 39th Street.
Yes, good evening, members. Thanks so much. As always, it's good to see you and appreciate the opportunity here to speak and appear before you. My name is Maston Sansom. I'm the attorney for the applicant. This is an application for a hotel license, as you said, at 350 West 39th Street. I'm joined this evening by Benjamin Britton, who is the general manager of the hotel. Also Omar Aquino, who is the regional director of operations, and Greg Palmer, who is with, I believe he's just on the phone, he's with Ghetto and DeMillion. He's a consultant and advocate. This application, so in November, last November, we appeared before you for this premises. And now we're here again because the operator, the F&B operator that was approved at that time is now looking to purchase the hotel from the owner that was listed on the license. And as such, a new application has to be filed. So that is obviously one of the big changes. But again, the existing operator is the buyer. All else remains the same. However, as you may recall, there is a rear yard, and stipulations, we had stipulated to very, very limited use of the rear yard because it was not enclosed in any way. The stipulations included no more than 25 people, hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and no food, beverage, or anything outside, landscaping to make it nice if possible, and soundproofing to the extent possible as well. We had in your application an outdoor structure that was originally thought to be the structure that was going to be used. However, that was changed. And I believe that Nellie had provided you with that updated diagram for the outdoor structure as approved by the Department of Buildings. And that structure is, it's a fabric structure. And we understand that that structure obviously is not as soundproof as anything that's brick and mortar or something more substantial. So what we are asking the committee is to approve use of that rear yard inside that structure with no doors or windows open, no music. The doors leading out into that structure would be closed except for ingress and egress, and there's only background music in the hotel. But they'd like to use that outdoor rear yard for breakfast only. And there would be no service of alcohol out there. So it really just, they're looking for additional space to offer breakfast to people because there really isn't enough space inside the hotel.
Okay, can you tell us why? So the original proposed thing, was that one of those things they call roller cover that we spent a lot of time discussing?
Yeah.
So why the change?
You know, I think it has to do with the business deal and just timing and things like that, to get something more substantial. So I know that this was something that had already been approved by the Department of Buildings. And they obviously, you know, would love to have more service out there, alcohol expanded hours and everything. But the applicant recognizes that a more substantial structure, such as a roller cover, as you had described, would be more appropriate. Plus, you know, if you're going to expand it to alcohol in different hours, you would probably want a sound study for that.
Right.
So when you say a cloth structure, are you talking about a tent?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said, when you say a cloth structure, that's the extra words. You mean a tent?
Fabric structure with
A tent.
It is referred to as a tent in the diagram. Now it says
it's a retractable awning.
Wanted to be clear. Okay. Covered on 3 sides. The door.
Yeah, basically it goes up against the building.
Okay.
Covered on 3 sides.
Okay.
Nothing, but yeah, I think and the hours would be from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. weekdays, and then 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And again, no alcohol would be allowed.
So,
Go ahead, Christine.
so I have a clarification. First of all, on the application, which is in our folder here, I don't see any stipulation for the rear yard.
That was for the current licensee.
I'm just saying, you're asking for the use of the rear yard, but there is nothing there, which is the section which is rear yard use.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing, that page I don't see.
Pages 5 and 6 are missing from your application, and I think Nellie was going to try to get them from you today. I don't know if she had a chance.
Yes, I did. I guess I took out the document and put back the same one that was already in there. I have to add, but I did get page 5 and 6 today. I'm sorry.
All right. So,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry, and I think that was our fault, and Nellie was.
That's fine. That's fine. I just it's clarification. I wasn't looking for it. I say I don't see it. It looks like from the picture you are showing there that the end is not closed, is not covered by the cloth, or is it? I don't know. I can't see it.
I know some of these diagrams, I admit, are.
I'm talking about the photo, the last. Oh. When you look at the photo, it doesn't seem that it's going all the way to the buildings, but that's. So it would be good if you stipulated on that.
Yeah, sure.
And then, are you saying that you are not going to open the thing ever? You're not going to open the tent ever?
That's correct.
Okay, but then what is the rank? What is the rating from a sound standpoint of this tent?
I have been unable to get a rating now.
Okay. Should we? I mean, should we try to get a rating? I'm saying that just because there are people living right above that, and 100 people for breakfast. That's a lot of people talking.
Particularly starting at 6:30, even on weekends.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have a problem if it's soundproof enough, but that would be good to have a reading on how soundproof is it.
Yeah.
So that we can make a decision. I mean, I don't know how to make a decision with that. Here.
It's possible we could get you a sound rating prior to the next board meeting, which I believe is on the 22nd, or the full board meeting, I'm sorry. Which I don't know if you're comfortable with making I don't know how you want to do it, but make it, you know, having a vote contingent upon receiving a possibly acceptable sound rating, however you.
It would have to be a sound study, right? Between this and the apartments, which are just above.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's going to take a little longer than that.
Well, I had conversations with Al Firestein, who I think you're familiar with.
Right.
And it just, things were happening so last minute, trying to put things together. And he's, you know, trying to limit his exposure as well. So trying to only do things all at once. So we were unable to get that done in advance of this, but I think if we have a week, which I think we do, before the full board, you know, I certainly would reach out to Al first thing in the morning.
I think that would be helpful. Inga?
Okay, so 150 people at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right outside my window, I would not be happy. It's a tent. It's not going to have any sound.
I know.
Structure. We know that. That's a lot of people. 6:30 could, oh, I don't know, weekdays maybe, but on a weekend, I would not want 150 people.
Yeah.
Talking on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Could we?
That early. Outside, it's 150 people. That's a lot of people in a tent. And you know, we all know the tent is going to have no soundproofing. I mean, yes, breakfast is never as loud as lunch and dinner, but I don't know. I don't know how close the windows are for the residents, but I would definitely not want people outside my window at 6:30.
It's very close.
Yeah, you did the site visit. How close are they?
Oh, they are very close.
I think so.
Yeah, they are on the second floor, just above that.
Yeah, I mean, even on a weekday, 6:30 is pushing it, but on a weekend, absolutely not. I mean, you can have a
Christine, you did the original site visit?
9 to 1 maybe for brunch, but not, I wouldn't want anyone, I just wouldn't.
No.
Ben, sorry, yeah, certainly. Ben, do you know, is there a level, you know, obviously, you know, could we reduce that to cut it in half? Would that even be something that would work? From your perspective, you know, the kind of the volume that you might be anticipating.
Absolutely. With breakfast, the yield at 6:30 in the morning is extremely minimal. With the seating we have inside, we normally start to see excess of a couple hundred people in the morning by around 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's usually at the end of our hours of service for breakfast is where we see the pop where we need additional seating, which is where this would be utilized. So the need for the space is usually a little bit later in the morning, so it's not exactly at 6:30 in the morning. All of a sudden, I have 300 people that need to be served breakfast, and that's both on weekdays and weekends. As most of our hotel is geared towards tourism, which obviously is not doing so hot right now. Most of the crowd is not trying to get to the office first thing in the morning. They're getting up and getting ready to do their tours or go to the museums and stuff, which allows a little bit of a later start.
So so now I think I understand this better. You're not, Ben, you're not looking at this as a primary place. Do you want to sit under the tent or you want to sit inside, but as an auxiliary space for an overflow?
That is correct, sir. Yes. It would be a secondary space after we've filled the interior space for breakfast.
So then the hours can be moved up into the day.
I would think so. We'd be able to operate with overflowing into later in the morning into that space, should it be needed.
I mean, I would suggest maybe 8 to 11 on, or 8 to yeah, something like that on weekdays, and maybe 9 to or 10 to 1 on Saturday and Sunday. And I still think 150 is a lot of people because I'm not quiet. When I'm sitting with people talking, I want to be louder than the person next to me so that they can hear me. So, and then that person's going to be louder. So If I'm having a good time, I'm even louder, even if I'm not drinking. So I think these are better hours, you know, and I think 150 is kind of high. I don't know.
Question about that.
Geez, so
Well,
they stopped serving at 10.
I wonder, wait a second. I think some of the other committee members have comments to make. Rob, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Are these pictures correct in the packet? This is the actual outside that we're looking at, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
It looks like it.
Okay. Notice that there are three television monitors in. Are they going to be on? Are they going to be muted? What's happening with the sound with those?
Huh. Good catch.
Good question.
No,
Good eyes, Rob.
For whatever reason, I do not have the same photographs that you have. That may be, what does the structure look like that you have?
It's a metal structure, and it's supported. It's basically an awning, but it's a metal awning with a fabric. The fabric comes up. It's automated, and then the other side, the back wall facing the other residence, is just planters, but yet it's got a structure supporting the roof over top, the temporary roof for the awning.
Does the roof have sort of a translucent white type of?
Yes.
Is that the picture Twee is showing?
Yeah.
It's fabric.
Yeah. And there are two TV on the wall. Good catch.
Yeah, way back there.
There are three TVs on the wall.
Yeah.
We could stipulate that there would be no television.
They need to be taken off the walls.
But is that?
They're not even there.
And just real quick, I got one more question. If we're not having alcohol outside, what's the issue? You don't need to get a license to use it out back if you're not going to be serving alcohol.
Well, we want to be a good neighbor, and we want the community.
Yeah, we had agreed to a certain capacity. So now they are coming back and say we want to make it bigger and different hours. And that's good.
Okay.
That's good that they are doing that. We appreciate that.
No, I appreciate that. I just would thank you for clearing that up.
Yep.
Is that photo of the roller cover or the new tent?
Yeah, I think what you're looking at is the roller cover.
Oh.
Which I think can be used, so made of fabric. My understanding is that roller covers can have any type of shell, really.
Okay.
You know, so it could be, if that's just, I think, a name, but they're all very similar. That the issue is the proposed structure that was approved by the Department of Buildings is not, it's not like a, the name escapes me, of this harder material. It is fabric. So where a roller cover can be fabric too, I think that's more of a trademark type of name.
Yeah, our committee is familiar with the metallic roller cover because last month we had somebody before the board, another hotel, who wanted it in a number of spaces, and they were touting this roller cover that came up and over and surrounded.
On the sides, right.
On the sides, and that became issues. But this is something different then.
The other one was like a greenhouse, that hotel, and it was like it's semi-permanent, but it was a plastic encased in metal. It was a plastic windows, but this is just like fabric. It's literally like a roller cover.
Yeah. We actually.
At any rate, if we cut the hours maybe to like 10 o'clock in the morning to I don't know, early lunch, maybe that would be fine.
Not the quantity of people though. It's huge.
We have to lower the quantity because it'll be loud. You just talk over
No,
people.
I definitely agree. Like cut it in half. It's like maybe 2/3.
Ben, so they only serve breakfast till 10:30, 10 o'clock during the weeks, and then 10:30 on Friday or Saturday and Sunday. So would the committee be amenable to maybe, or, you know, Ben, would it even be helpful if maybe breakfast starting at 7:30 during the week and then 8 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday? So it would only be from 8 to 10. And then maybe reducing the total by 50% to 75 people? Which again, this is kind of an overflow, but I don't know. I've got to ask.
From the operations standpoint, I mean, once again, yes, we'd be using this space as an overflow, so it would not be the primary location that we would be seating people as they come in to partake in their breakfast. And that would really be the only time that this space is even used. There are no alcoholic beverages, nothing of that nature would be used even later in the evening out in that space whatsoever.
Then the issue is the capacity. You're asking for 150 and people on the committee are saying, how about 75? Can you live with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We want to be good neighbors. We want to be good representatives here in the community. So we're looking for better ways to help be better stewards of our property here, and anything we can get at this point in order to be able to help make the guest experience better will work for us in that regard.
Okay. How is the committee with 75 capacity?
Bert, why don't you wait a second. Nellie, does anyone from the public want to speak?
Yeah.
Yes, I have one person with a raised hand. Hold on one second.
All right.
Hi, my name is Laszlo Reichardt. I am a resident. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a resident that is exactly behind this proposed outdoor dining area. And I actually, just to do this a little bit quicker, I concur with Inga with exactly what she was saying with reference to having people that close to my window, especially 150 people. But what is more infuriating about the whole thing is that we pretty much came to an agreement last time. And by putting on a canvas or whatever kind of material, which absolutely doesn't change anything in terms of what the main problem was, which was noise, all of a sudden now we're considering 75 people starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is in essence, it's infuriating. That all of a sudden, out of of an agreement that we had, that can be changed so quickly by just putting a canvas covering over it. And from what I understand, it's not even covered on all, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be covered on 4 full sides. And we don't even know what the actual sound, how much of the sound actually carries through this. And I really don't think we should even consider it at this point, let alone not even present it to the executive committee at this point, until we actually get some real answers to this. And particularly, even if we did get real answers, if the sound mitigation is not actually pretty much the way, that you were asking, how close are your neighbors? Some of them are no more than 15, 20 feet away from this particular, dining area. Some of us are 30 feet, 40 feet, but nevertheless, it is an enclosed Grand Canyon. It's not a question of how close we are. The echo that basically is in that backyard is beyond anything, even, where you're considering how close or how far you are. It doesn't really matter. That sound will travel to every single apartment in that back area. And we're not talking about 2 or 3 apartments. There is approximately, I would say, pretty close to 100 apartments in that area. And again, one of the other things I would like to mention, since we're back on with a new owner, so to speak, is that I would like to go through the usual laundry list with reference to the hotel itself, which is, again, please, no stanchions outside, no menus on the sidewalk, no outdoor speakers on the sidewalk, no sidewalk obstructions. So, that's another thing that maybe, you should consider as well with, with a new owner, make sure that, that all these rules, especially on a really thin sidewalk or a narrow sidewalk, that, we should all consider this as well. And I thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah, following up on that, I wanted to remind people, last month when we had that hotel with second and third floor spaces, they came in with the RoboCover thing. I mean, they sort of realized that you can't really use that kind of space with residents this close. And we seem to have the same situation here. And I agree with the point the gentleman just made. It seems a little crazy that we're retrading this so quickly.
Yeah.
We are retreading.
I said retrading.
Retrading.
I mean, we reached these steps, what, 6 months ago?
I'd like to make a proposal once we can.
Sure.
I propose that we hold off on this until they do a sound study and come back to us. And at that time, we'll revisit this with that information.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't support this.
I agree with that. I
a
agree with
sound
that too. Yeah.
Definitely. It's going to be noisy. I'd be furious in the morning.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Also, if you come back with a sound study and it's acceptable, it doesn't mean we still will not consider the possibility of reduced population from 150 down to 175 and also reduced hours.
And Bert, I would say that any sound study should be including the gentleman that lives in the backyard, so that there is a measurement from his apartment, so that we have a real life measurement,
Sounds good to me.
I agree. And their apartment's directly behind the plants as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just so close.
Yeah, I believe Mr. Firestein tries to do that, and I will make sure he does, that takes the readings from where the residents are actually.
Right. I mean, it may be difficult during COVID. I wouldn't let anyone in my apartment right now, but it may have to.
You're talking about inside?
You have to do measurements from the sound inside, what it sounds like in my apartment.
Oh.
So with my windows closed, what is it going to sound like? So it may be difficult to do those studies, because if you asked me, I would say next year, wait till a vaccine is out. I'll let you in then. So that may be difficult.
I think, what if you take a reading like outside the window and it's,
I think,
it's like normal.
It goes inside.
Well,
it really has to come from inside, but I think people will agree to this. I think they'd rather have someone come in, do a sound reading, rather than wake up, first thing in the morning by like 60, 70 people out there having breakfast.
Yeah, I agree.
So to the applicant.
Wait.
Wait, Tweed, you want to say something?
Putting my hand up by doing raising hand, but I'll just speak out.
Just go right ahead and speak.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we had this similar problem last month where there was a report and the guy was saying, well, COVID makes the streets really quiet and you're not going to get the crowd that you to simulate. I mean, maybe that's where the expert comes in and he can simulate crowd noise, but we won't really have an accurate reading until the people are really there.
Oh no, Firestein has the way of simulating crowds. He has done it before with other applicants.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, to the applicant. So I think you see how this would go with the outdoor space on the current lay of the land. Do you want to adjourn and come back next month with a sound study? Do you want us to make a recommendation on the change of ownership with excluding the outdoor space? How do you want to proceed?
I assume getting a sound study to you, even if we could get it to you before the board next week, that doesn't enable you to make a vote.
No.
No, you know, there's obviously community concern, and you know they're going to want to look at it too.
Okay.
I honestly think it would be sort of impossible for Al to do this and get it to us in enough time to actually absorb it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, you know, I think postpone would be the appropriate thing to do at this
Okay,
time.
we ask you not
Are
to.
you asking for postponing just the outdoor space or the whole kit and caboodle?
The whole thing.
Okay.
Okay.
And we ask you not to agree not to file with the SLA until you come back to see us.
Yep.
Okay. Nellie will send you a form tomorrow to fill out. Right, Nellie?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And could you also get the contact info for the community member who spoke and find out if he wants to be involved in the sound study?
Yes, I will.
Thanks.
Can I just ask one more question while we have everyone? On the application, the attorney listed is Teresa Russo.
That is my managing partner.
Okay, okay. Just wanted
I apologize for
Nope,
that.
as long as it's the same firm, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure, because she may have been on there originally and then you took the case. I wasn't sure if it was just a mistake or if it was, okay.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
The applicant, hopefully you're doing well during COVID. If you need this as an overflow, because you have so many people doing breakfast, good for you. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on to our,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, guys. See you again. Old item number 5, our fourth for tonight. 599 10th Avenue, between 43 and 44 on the west side of 10th Avenue.
Thanks, Bert. Can you hear me? Donald Bernstein on behalf of the applicant.
We can hear you and see you.
Thank you, Bert. Good evening, everybody. And I see Ted is here. I don't know if John Blair is here. This is a new application for a new license at 599 10th Avenue between 43rd and 44th. You will remember that John and Ted, who are the owners of Rise Bar at 859 9th Avenue, that we came before you back in February when things were normal on an application for a reiteration of Rise Bar that they were going to call The Spot, right next door at 601 10th Avenue. We presented that application. We had many people that came in support. There were some people that were opposing it. And at the end of the day, you recommended denial of the application. And that was based primarily, and I'm not saying exclusively, but primarily for 2 reasons. One was that the space that we were seeking to license then at 601 10th had never been licensed before, and that adding a new license would be adding another license to an area that you did not believe needed one. And secondly, there was an issue raised about the propriety of Department of Buildings having changed the C of O for the ground floor, which had been residential. They changed it to commercial, and there was some discussion about whether or not they made a mistake in doing that. I don't know that that was ever an issue that was resolved, but it was obviously something that weighed on your minds. So when you passed your resolution, what it stated is that the opinion of the community board is that this is the wrong location for an establishment of this size, late hours, and method of operation in a fully residential building with the C of O being challenged by DOB. Adding such an establishment here in a place never licensed before risks significantly changing the character of the block and the surrounding area. During the course of that meeting in February, my recollection of my read is that there was an acknowledgement that John and Ted, while Rise Bar had some issues when they first opened, they had been corrected and they proved themselves to be good neighbors and good operators. We had a couple of dozen supporters at the meeting, including a resident who lived on the 2nd floor above Rise Bar, who said that he never had any problems. We presented you with 30 out of 40 of the residents of the building Rise Bar is in supporting our new place on 10th Avenue, and we had other supporters in the neighborhood as well. So the take out of that meeting is this is the wrong spot, this building. Try to find a space that was licensed or had a license. And that's what we did. We have not filed an application with the SLA for the space at 601 10th. We looked for a new spot, and the spot has a new spot. Good news is it's right next door to what we had. So it's right in the area that we were looking for. And this is Lansdowne. Lansdowne has been licensed, as far as I'm aware, since 2006 up until this year. They had a 4 a.m. close. I don't know if that was every night, but I know they had a 4 a.m. close at least some nights for their bar. Additionally, back in March, and these people may have come more than once, I don't know, but I do know because I was there one time when I think it was Michael McNamee, who was another owner in the neighborhood, came to take over the space, this Lansdowne space. And CB4 recommended approval of that application with a 4 a.m. license, with limited live music, karaoke, French doors, the same layout, more or less, the same premises that Lansdowne had and that we intend to have. So we're talking about space that's been licensed for about 14, 15 years, and that as recently as March, you approved another operator coming in and operating that till 4 a.m. with the bar. Whatever happened with that deal, I don't know, but they never, I guess, filed their application. The space is available, and we're happy to be in a position where we can take it. So we will be operating just as we had described to you when we came for 601 10th Avenue. It will be an iteration, a reiteration of Rise Bar. The total legal occupancy is just as it was for Lansdowne with the PA permit of a maximum of 143 persons on the ground floor. There'll be 32 tables with 104 seats and one bar with 15 seats. We provided a security plan with the questionnaire. We also had Alan Firestein from Acoustalog do a sound study. And that's important because as far as we are aware, Lansdowne had soundproofing in the premises. We intend to go above and beyond that. And if you read the report, Alan Firestein has recommended a number of additions and changes to the premises to add to soundproofing. I spoke to Ted about it. We will implement all of those. We will stipulate to that. So everything that Al Firestein is recommending in the report, we will undertake, we will do to add the extra soundproofing. The hours that we are looking for are opening as early as 11:30. We don't need anything earlier than that. May even open a little later than that, but just to be sure, we want to be able to have lunch. The hours would be 3 a.m. close, Sunday through Wednesday, 4 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We would also like to add 4 a.m. To any Sunday night where Monday is a national holiday. Also, if it for New Year's Eve and for Gay Pride. We would like those nights to be 4 a.m. as well. The music that we plan to have is a mixture of both background, DJ and video DJ, and karaoke, which is what we have at Rise Bar. There will also be some drag shows as there are on Rise Bar. What we're willing to do with the karaoke and those shows is end them at an hour earlier than the closing of 3 or 4 a.m. So we're not going to continue those up until 4 a.m. We can agree to end those 2 a.m. or we can discuss that. But and we would also be willing to perhaps even limit the number of nights per week that we have that. It's not going to be 7 nights a week. I think the only other thing that I wanted to point out was I did mention that we had 30 out of 40 residents where Rise Bar is located in favor of us opening another location. We also sent to Nellie and Frank over the past 2 days petition signatures. I think we have over 520 petition signatures of residents in Hell's Kitchen who are in support of this. And I don't know how many letters we submitted, but a handful of letters in addition to that. I know that Ted spoke to Bert and Frank about this, also met with block associations. It has come back to us that at least the 44th Street Block Association would like some stipulations. There are some that we can may not be able to agree to, but there are some certainly that we can, such as providing a direct telephone number. I think Ted will give his cell phone number, putting up good neighbor signs, having security, attending block meetings, those sorts of things. And we're amenable to any other reasonable stipulation that would give you some comfort. So just to summarize, we have a long-standing licensed place. We have a place that you've approved as recently as March for someone else to come in with a 4 a.m. And there's been recognition in February that the space we were looking at 601 was not a good idea. And we've taken your suggestion and we found one that now we think is a great idea.
Okay. Just to give some more detail and context for some of what Donald just said, if you look at the letter we wrote about the prior location, 601 10th, we say our first of many concerns is that the establishment would be located on the ground floor of a residential building in a space that had not been previously licensed and may not be properly zoned. We then have a huge paragraph that says, further, this establishment is in an area of high concentration of liquor licenses. The addition to this block of a large 195-person capacity bar with DJ karaoke and live performances risks bringing significant additional noise and disruption to this area, affecting thousands of residents. That goes on and on. The applicant who came in March, as people may remember, came in wanting to have a DJ, karaoke, live music, and in the discussion, we told them we were uncomfortable approving anything that did not mimic the method of operation of Lansdowne Road. So they agreed to drop karaoke, DJ, and the only live music they agreed to was small combo jazz brunches for a couple hours on Sunday. So we did approve a 4 a.m. license, but it was after those significant changes to the method of operation. If you'll indulge the nerd in me for a bit, I actually analyzed the, Donald, there are actually 502 petitions. There evidently was some confusion over whether some were missing, but your legal assistant, I guess, wasn't able to straighten that out to get them to me. So what I did was I divided the petitions into 4 categories of where the signatories were coming from. The immediate blocks around the bar, a bigger periphery of around the bar, Olive Hell's Kitchen, and further afield. So of the 502 signatures, the first area I looked at was 43rd and 44th Street between 9th and 11th Avenues, and then 10th Avenue between 42nd and 45th. And of the 502 signatures, there were 62 from that area. Fully half of those were from the 4 big residential buildings on 43rd and 44th, including Gotham West, the building on the corner of 43rd and 9th. And Donald, in demonstrating an excess of zeal by some of your supporters, I analyzed those in detail, and 4 of those people had submitted, signed two petitions and submitted them both, and you had them in there separately. They're clearly separate petitions because the signatures look different, but they're clearly from the same people. And since I found 4 in a sample of 60, I suspect there's some double counting that goes to the rest of these. Next, I looked at all of the 40s from 40th to 49th, between 9th and 11th Avenue. And putting aside the prior 60, there were additional 103 supporters from that 16 block radius. If you looked at Olive Hell's Kitchen, which I defined as going from 57th to 34th, there were 305 of the 500 signatures came from Hell's Kitchen more broadly, and then the final 33 were just from people who were beyond Hell's Kitchen and somewhat further afield. So, Donald, I'm impressed you guys got all those signatures in this COVID crisis, but I was less happy when I was counting them all today.
Well, look, I mean, I didn't go through that detail, and anytime we submit petitions, I always discount, 10, 15% of them is for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So even if you do that, it's a substantial number. But the other thing I want to say about that, Frank, is if you do discount people that live further away, I hope you apply that same to the opposition, so that if someone comes to
Donald, I was not discounting in any way. I was just found a useful way for me to think about it. I was not.
I'm just making a point. If someone lives 15 blocks away and they're supporting it or they're opposing it, I guess you can take that into account.
Yeah. I was really just presenting those as just sort of a factual analysis for, that people might or may not find.
Can I just respond to the other point that you made, if I may? Because you talked about, wanting the applicant that came in March to not have the karaoke and DJ. The thing I wanted to say about that is we are, as I said, we're replicating what Rise Bar has. And though Rise Bar had a couple of issues, a few issues at the beginning a number of years ago, the overwhelming consensus, and it may not be everybody because some people just don't like it, but the overwhelming consensus is that they have been good operators and that they've been able to have drag shows and karaoke and a DJ largely without disturbing their neighbors. I think they've had, what, 5 or 3 911 complaints in a number of years. They've been able to manage crowds. They've been able to not have disturbances on the street. They've been able to not disturb the people that live in that residential building. There are 40 tenants in that building, and 30 of them are supportive of Rise Bar. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand what the board decided back in March, but we've got a track record that I think we are proud of, and we've established that we can run this kind of operation because we do it.
I think regardless of the track record, Donald, which you very well described, and the support from the residences around Rise Bar, this method of operation at this site, and I'm not saying this is negative or positive, I'm just describing it, this method of operation is a change in the nature from what was previously there, and a change in the nature of the other liquor establishments in the immediate area. So I think that is something we need to contend with. If you're finished, Donald, I'd like to hear from committee people.
I have a question.
Sure, Christine.
So, so that we avoid what happened last time, where is the stage?
It's in the back. It's the platform, right, Ted?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see it on the plan.
Well, basically what it is it's a seating platform during the day. You'll see a bunch of seats on it. And then at nighttime when we do karaoke or a drag show, then we will remove the benches and the tables in the back. It's in the very back of the diagram.
Is this a separate room, Ted?
Yeah, basically if you go to Lansdowne, there's the front bar, there's a bathroom in the middle, and then there's a back room that they had previously had a second bar there. So what we're doing is we would be taking out the bar, and one of the soundproof suggestions is that we re-soundproof that wall. So we're gonna take down that bar, re-soundproof that wall, and we are gonna build a seating bench there that we can remove to do the shows and then put back in place for happy hour so we have a sitting area for customers.
Okay. All right, so that's helpful. And then,
one of the reasons why we wanted to have this stage in the back, and it's something that we done at Rise and we were successful at actually keeping noise level down, is we wanted to create a separate space so in the front people actually can have a conversation and order a drink. And we also want our bartenders to be able to make the sale to hear it. So having that karaoke in the back, we can possibly get a sound curtain to separate it so we don't lose customers if we happen to have a bad singer for karaoke or they don't really want to have a drag show. And that's something that we did at Rise that actually helped with the soundproofing developments that we have. And I just think that's why we decided to try to put the stage in the back as opposed to.
That's okay. Okay. So the second question is, from the language of Donald, I got the impression that you were going to transition to this place, but not have Rise anymore. Is that the case or not?
No.
No, we're still going to have
okay.
Rise, yes.
So who is going to mind the shop at Rise and here? I mean, who is going to be where?
Well, I'm going to be going to do both. John Blair does mostly the managing during the day, and I have Tracy Choi as one of my GMs. So she's worked in nightlife for like many, many years, and she's very meticulous and does things properly.
Okay.
She's going to basically help me with both of these locations.
So one of the issues we had with Rise Bar, beside the soundproofing that you are going to do here, was the people in front and the waiting and the, you know, smoking and talking in below the windows, etc. So what's your plan for that?
Well, we plan on, well, we have a new, we had some issues in the beginning as well. We actually had to fire our security team because they weren't doing a good enough job. The security that we have now is doing a great job at that. Also, I'm making sure that my bartenders are all tip certified, because one of the problems that we have when you're controlling people outside is when they get overly intoxicated. And we don't want to actually have people that are getting sick or have to get them a taxi. So we're monitoring more closely the patrons so they're not getting too intoxicated, so they're easier to maintain and act in orderly conduct when they leave. You know,
But you were always very successful, so you always had people, and sometimes way more people than you could accommodate. And I'm not sure, you know, that for sure is a scene that we don't want to have in that part of the neighborhood, which is very residential, even more so that where you are on 9th Avenue. So how do we prevent people to come when you are exceeding your capacity?
I mean, I think one thing to say about Rise Bar, if it is that successful, if I have two of them that are pretty similar, it will actually dilute both of the crowds, so it won't be that heavy. And another thing that's really good about the Lansdowne space that's a challenge that we didn't have at the Rise venue is we don't have tenants directly above. A lot of the initial problems that we had with the tenants above when we had, you know, the crowd at Rise in the beginning is the landlord took apart the apartments upstairs to renovate because he wanted to increase their rent. And he tore up actually the flooring and the rooftop of the apartments above, and he left them with no paneling or anything for a long time. And he also—
Okay, but I'm talking about, you know, the people, the day when you had like all 600 people and you are going to have more people. So what is the plan on the sidewalk? On that sidewalk, we are not used here to see anyone on the sidewalk. So people are going to notice if you have 3 people on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that you're pertaining to is the one problem that we had during Gay Pride when it was raining outside and we had let go of the security that let too many people inside, which has been resolved. But another thing that we did is we had to make sure that our ramp to get in was ADA compliant. And that actually helps with the crowd control. And in terms of our crowd and what we get, we typically only have a small line of maybe 6 to maybe 8 people for a very short period of time between the hours of like 12:30 and 1 o'clock. And usually after that, there's no line outside. But there is another strategy that I have to help accommodate this situation because I've been looking into it a little bit more, and I also want to protect some of our patrons from getting wet and dealing with the cold. At Lansdowne, there's a separate entrance to go in inside the building, which actually goes into the basement and back up through the back. And I was thinking that if there's ever a point that we have a line, what I can do is I can put the coat check downstairs, and essentially the people can wait on the staircase inside the building so they will not be on the street, and then they can come up the back side, so that would prevent no noise for the neighbors, and it also keep my customers dry.
Okay, thanks.
Ted, I have a question. It was something that you said that if you wanted to duplicate Rise Bar, it would dilute the attraction of Rise Bar. So I'm going out and I have a choice, say, between this new bar and Rise Bar. How would you describe one and how would you describe the other? So I can make a choice.
The reason they're not going to be the same. What I want to do is more like a bit more of a video bar at the other one. Rise is kind of like that, but I want to make it a little bit more extensive and a little bit more welcoming to the community by adding comedy and doing a little bit more food and expanding on that in the future.
At Rise.
No, at Lansdowne space. But I think the reason is that people like to come to Rise isn't because of it's just one venue. I think people come because we are probably one of the only establishments that I'm hearing from my customers that is very diverse, and we also one of the cleanest bars in Hell's Kitchen. You're not going to come into our bar and smell, you know, anyone getting sick, and our crowd is, you know, known to be a place. Rise is known to be a place where people can take their mother. So when I want to say that I'm going to make it very similar to Rise, it's in the cleanliness aspect, and it's not just going to be like a watering hole that some of the places are doing. When they have a venue and they flip the sign and they say, okay, you know, now it's gay, everyone come over, and just throwing on some black paint on the wall, we're actually doing a renovation and keeping it nice and clean. And I take pride that we do such a good job at the cleanliness at our space. So when I talk about similar, I'm talking about the quality, not necessarily the venues.
Ted, I looked at the temporary certificate of occupancy you submitted, and based on this, I'm not sure, unfortunately, your downstairs plan is going to work, because what this says is the first floor maximum persons permitted is 143, cellar maximum persons permitted is 4. So I don't know if you can have more than 4 people down there at any one time. I'm far from an expert on this, but I just wanted to flag it for you.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look into that too, because the thing about it is to have a capacity of 143, you need to have 2 exits. And essentially that is the second exit outside. So they must be able to use that for an entrance and exit. Okay. Or else the capacity would only be 74 unless they're using the open French doors in the front.
I see we still have a bunch of people out there. I don't know, Nellie, do you have any hands up from out?
Wait, Kurt,
this is a preparatory to, I want the committee to speak first. But I want to get a sense of how many hands are out there. Okay? I haven't forgotten, hardly anybody else has spoken on the committee. Don't worry, Brian.
I have about, I think I count 12, 14 people that want to speak.
Okay, so if we have 12 people, that's 22 minutes each. That's 24, 25 minutes. Okay, committee people. Who hasn't spoken and wants to speak? I see Brian, I see Twee.
Rob Walker also has his hand
Rob,
up.
okay.
So Lansdowne Road had a frontage that opened entirely from floor to ceiling. Are you going to replace the glass front or keep it as is?
Our plan is to keep it. And in terms of, you know, I know that some concerns be like, oh my God, you're going to have it open with like loud music and all that. We're not planning on having it open if we have music on. So we would probably be closing it around 9 o'clock or as soon as it gets dark.
And then I guess my other question is directed towards Frank. Since the initial issues with Rise Bar, have there been additional complaints from there, or have they cleaned it up?
All I know is that Steve Bolito from 5051 sent us a letter saying that just this year, Rise had 6 311 complaints. You know, that's his statement. I did not research that.
I can give you the direct numbers on that. In the last 3 years, we've had 5 noise complaints. And I would like to say that most of those, I believe, are people that were disgruntled, people that were trying to get in the bar. They actually called 311 in front of us, in front of our security staff to cause problems. I've been keeping an eye on 311 calls, and I do it regularly to make sure that my staff is doing the right job and to make sure that we can address the neighborhood. What I did see recently is people said that there was a social distancing problem like 2 or 3 times. One person said that we had 7 people inside ordering a drink, which was not possible because we were doing pickup only, and we probably had 7 customers the whole day. But I can tell you that Rise has been following protocols very strictly. We have not been a part of the 51st and 9th Avenue COVID block party. We've been following strict protocols. Inside we have the hand sanitizer, we have 6 foot apart stickers. We enforce it. We have a security guard outside telling people to put a mask on before they go in. So we're doing everything that we can to be responsible for the community and do what we have to do.
And then Rob.
Yes, thank you. I'm still sort of new to this, so if you could please explain what a video bar is. I mean, you mentioned drag performances, and I don't know if it's like, you know, you show music videos or videos of the performances in the back for the front people. What is a video bar?
I'm glad that you asked that, because I've also had people in the community that were asking me what a live DJ meant, because that means concern of loud music. I want to say that at Rise Bar, our definition of a DJ is not having a DJ from another country playing circuit music and screaming on the mic for everyone to jump up and down. Our DJs are strictly like playing top 40 music during the peak time and taking requests. And the video DJ is basically doing the thing for happy hour. So a lot of the times in the past, you would see maybe a gay bar way back in the day called Splash. They would say, oh, you know, on Mondays, let's have like a Broadway night. And so they would play on the screens all Broadway musical type things. And so it basically helps organize music and videos for themes. And on top of that, with the DJ, when I want to go back to that and say that we're not playing club music, the DJs are also responsible for getting the tracks lined up for the drag queens. When they have a drag show, you know, usually they go on the mic, tell a couple jokes, and for the most part, they lip sync music that's played, because most of the drag queens are not singers. So we have that element. And the other thing is when we're doing karaoke, they also arrange the music and keep the organization for who's going to be next. If someone sounds less than great on the microphone, they give them a little reverb. You know, if the mic's too loud, they turn it down. All those things into consideration. And we also have a limiter at our space, which we plan on having there. That will help also maintain to make sure that they're not going too loud. Like I said before, there's no tenants above. And when we first opened Rise, that's where the complaints were, and that was resolved. Another thing that we did to go above and beyond at Rise is we actually set up a microphone in the middle of the room and where the speakers are. And it's linked to my computer, so it actually will tell you the decibel reading of the room that we have. And we know that if it goes higher than a certain level, it could disrupt the neighbors. So we make sure we keep that on, in addition to having the limiter on. So we have that as a first, and then we have the limiter as the second backup to make sure that the sound is under control.
Thanks, Ted. Rob?
Sorry about that. Just a quick question or two here. You said that you have or have not done the construction yet on the back part of the bar.
No, we haven't done the construction yet on the back part of the bar. It was one of the things that Al Firestein recommended, that the back part of the bar where it has currently a bar set up, we were planning on making it a seating booth that can transform into a stage at night by moving the benches. And we are going to be putting extra soundproofing on that wall.
Okay. You had a sound study done, so you did it actually prior than it being built, so you're not going to really have a crisp idea of what's happening, but you are going to follow what they say, what they stated with the materials used and everything?
I'm going to follow what they say, and I'm also on that, if you did get a chance to look at the soundproofing, which I'm not sure everyone has, I was there when he did the soundproofing, and I had to go outside to make a phone call. The place already has a vestibule, and when they were doing it, I didn't hear anything, and I walked back, and I had to ask the Alan Firestein, who was doing that, if he actually had done it yet. So I heard nothing from outside, and one of the things that he also says in the report, when he went to the roof to check the noise, he also did not hear anything. But the report says right now, in the way that it is standing, that it is soundproofed very well. I think a lot of people that have a relationship with Lansdowne and block associations, they have a long history with Patrick, who I've got to know and think he's a great guy too, that he put in a lot of money in soundproofing in there prior. So as of it is right now, there seems to be a very good soundproofing in place, but we're just going to be doing a little bit more to make sure that we're following the protocols of what Acoustalog has presented.
Okay, I appreciate that explanation. Okay, about the front again. How are you going to be a video music bar if you're going to have the doors open up in front and you're not going to have anything playing?
Well, this is what I was thinking because, you know, we have to think about outdoor usage, or not outdoor uses, but actually with the doors being open. Most of the time that we're the busiest time is in the seasons that are, you know, during the winter where the windows will not be open. When it's raining, they will not be open. So it's really a limited time that we'd actually have the door open. Even if it's 90 degrees, it's too hot for people to enjoy a drink. So my idea on that was for happy hour, if there's more of a crowd that's just talking, we will leave it open and we will not have music. And then when we get a little bit busier, we will close it as the crowd gets a little bit louder and then start doing the videos at that time.
Are you going to force traffic through your entrance, meaning you're not going to let anyone enter or exit through those doors?
No, we'd have to exit and enter through the vestibule.
Okay, so
yeah,
basically,
I'm actually gonna.
You could have it open. You could have it open, but you would have it like maybe tapered off to prevent people from entering and exiting through those doors.
Yeah, I mean, right now because of COVID, I have so many of those belt barricades. So what I was planning on doing to not waste the money that I spent on those, hopefully this will be over soon, is that when we have the tables in the front, I will be putting the belt barricade in the front so people are not trying to hop through it.
Okay, but you're going to pretty much guarantee that next summer, when everything's hopefully back to our new normal, you won't be letting any easement that way at all. It'll be 100% through the vestibule. Like
No,
you'll have something to prevent people from coming in and out there.
I don't want people going through there for that reason. I mean, I don't want anyone going through there for safety reasons as well. I want to have the table sitting in that little area to enjoy. If someone's not going to try to walk through the front and squeeze through a table and trip over somebody's feet or trip over their bag that they might have with them, they're not going to go through they're going to go through the side.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Thanks. Is anybody else from the committee? Comments, questions? I don't see any raised hands. So we still have 12 people. No one's left, Nellie?
No, we have 15 people.
Oh, they called their friends. So we have 15 now. Okay, I would like to reiterate what we said before, that we'd like you to keep to 2 minutes each. And if you're saying the same thing that your friend said right before you or before her, just say, I agree. Thank you. Okay, Nellie, it's your show.
Okay, the first, I'm going to go in the order that I see everyone's name, and the first person is Alita. Alita, you can unmute yourself.
Hi. Yes,
Okay.
hi, how are you? My name is Alita Lafargue. I'm the president of the Manhattan Plaza Tenants Association. I was asked to come here at our last meeting when they had first originally applied for the liquor license just a couple doors down from Lansdowne in opposition to the spot bar coming in. We're still in opposition to the spot bar coming in for the reason that the current tone of 10th Avenue has remained to be a quiet, casual dining experience. 9th Avenue has become somewhat of a strip where there are many loud bars and nightclubs, and that's a great thing. But 10th Avenue is still fairly calm. I live directly across the street on 43rd and 10th. I can hear people spilling out into the street from Mr. Biggs already, and that's a pretty small place. And I live pretty high up in my building. I also recall the bar called Bartini that was on 9th Avenue, which had an aggressive clientele spilling out into their streets for smoking and hanging out. And this is pre-COVID, when it wasn't required for you to be in the street. And it was actually difficult for neighbors to walk down the street without actually being harassed by their patrons. I'd hate to see another bar like that on 10th Avenue when we've really been able to maintain a sort of calm and, as I said, casual dining experience. I don't know what their neighbors down the street, Meme, would feel about it. I'd like to hear from them as well. So I just hope that we can reconsider bringing establishments of this nature to this corner so we can hope to maintain what we have currently. I grew up in this neighborhood. I lived through the 70s and 80s, and it was noisy and it was crazy, and a lot of energy comes with this type of establishment when you're late nights and loud music and people want to go out into the street and smoke their cigarettes. It's just going to happen because it's illegal to smoke inside, as we all know. I'm not really sure. I can't even wrap my brain around going inside and creating soundproofing because of, COVID-19. And I'm hoping that that's going to be a possibility soon. But at the moment, I don't know how that's going to work. So I imagine that the patrons are going to spill into the street and smoke cigarettes, etc. And so I'm just here to speak out and in hopes that we can keep establishments like Lansdowne was previously. We didn't ever have any problems with the noise that came out from there. There weren't people all over the streets hanging out late at night or in the evenings. And
Thank you, Alita.
that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have Adrian.
Hi, my name's Adrian Ford, and I'm the Vice President of the Manhattan Plaza Tenants Association, and I'm just going to say, of course, we agree with everything Alita said as we're speaking from the TA, for the TA at large. I also just want to reiterate that in 2006, when Lansdowne procured their liquor license, we have since gained 2 schools. One is on the same block as Lansdowne was, and the other is just around the corner, an elementary school that has more than doubled in size over the last few years. And then just 2 blocks away, we also have a Success Academy. So when we had what would be the equivalent to a half a school prior, we now have 3 full schools. And I'm not even counting the preschool that's diagonally across the street right here in Manhattan Plaza itself. It's just the neighborhood has vastly changed since Lansdowne had their liquor license initially. So I think it should be strongly considered that we would like to think about what the demographics of our neighborhood are like now when granting liquor license for establishments such as these. Also, COVID parties, the thought of it just makes me nervous. We live in an incredibly elderly community. 70%, I think just about 60% of our population is over the age of 60. I'm not sure that everybody would be really excited about COVID parties, on our street, essentially. Additionally, the garage bar, was it hardware that you seek to mimic? It's also very noisy. There was lots of spillover into the street. I work late hours up the block on 57th Street and 10th Avenue and walk home at undue hours. And I could say that even after 2 o'clock in the morning that I have seen a lot of busy, rowdy activity outside of these bars already. And we just don't need to continue with that sort of, inviting that sort of behavior into our community.
Thank you, Adrian.
Okay.
Okay, next I have Patrick.
Hi, how you doing? First off, I agree with the 2 previous speakers. Secondly, the thing that raised the red flag for me.
Excuse me, Patrick, could you sort of tell us where you live?
Oh, absolutely. I'm on 43rd and 10th Avenue. I was here before Lansdowne, and like previously said, Lansdowne was never a problem. But with this place, when I read live DJ, that raises a red flag for me. Because like the gentleman said, and he said it wasn't going to be this way, but I picture loud circuit music with bass pumping through my apartment all night long. And if he's true to his word and it's not going to be like that, great. but I still agree with what was said previously. The neighborhood is changing. 10th Avenue is quiet. You know, let's keep it that way. Keep all the rowdy stuff on 9th Avenue, because drag shows will bring a lively party crowd, and they will be outside screaming and carrying on all night long. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Next, I have Marissa Redanti. Marissa?
Hi, everybody. I'm Marisa Redanti. I'm the district leader here. I'm here to listen, but Theodore, I remember you from the Out Hotel and the commitments made then and John made to keep the queue inside were a complete failure. There were lines and lines of people. They were rowdy. They would leave very drunk. They would go into other bars and have problems there. I think this is a great idea because we have drag shows in the West Bank Cafe, but they're able to control nobody's spilling into the street. But you have a record, unfortunately, that you can't control your crowd waiting to get in. You only have one door going in and out. I'm sorry, you do, Theodore. We know this. It's a fact. I live right near the Out. I saw it. And it was very disappointing because I gave support for that project and felt very betrayed. So I can't, in good conscience, I'm not giving an opinion one way or the other, but you'd have to answer for a much better plan than what you described because you really didn't describe any. Secondly, if I may, one entrance in and out. I understand where you're going to put the stage in the back. It's a fire trap. There's too much, you can't have that many people in there and get out safely. And bringing them downstairs, as Bert described, I'm sorry, it was Frank, that just is a non-starter. It doesn't exist. I would love to see this. I think it'll be a lot of fun on 9th Avenue. The place that should be in Lansdowne area should be the same kind of establishment, the same tone of establishment. And unfortunately, I think that, you have to kind of work on your record, especially when you bring up Splash as being a clean operator.
Can I comment on that?
Ted, it's the public comment, maybe a little bit later. Okay?
All right.
Thank you, Marissa.
Okay, next I have Sterling Cox. Sterling?
Still muted.
You gotta unmute it.
Sterling, can you unmute yourself? Okay, we'll go on to the next person. I have Brett.
Hi, my name is Brett Rieben. I live at 54th and 10th. I'm in support of the Spot Bar. I frequent Rise Bar quite often. And I remember when we were at the full board meeting for the last time, it was mentioned quite often amongst the board members that they were good operators. So I completely agree with that. They were told at that meeting that one of the main concerns obviously was that it was not previously licensed. So they were told to find a previously licensed space. They've done that. They've done what was asked of them. So I think it would be a good idea to approve them. One of my concerns when I walk by that block quite often
is many of the places there are actually empty. And
Lansdowne, every time I walk by in front of there are homeless people that literally have mattresses right in front of the building. And crime has been going up on 10th Avenue, and it would be wonderful to have a space there with security that is outside monitoring people well into the night, so you're not going to have that same thing happen. You're going to have less crime. Certainly those homeless people are not going to have their mattresses and all of their clothes and whatever they have sitting right in front of the bar. So I think it's a great idea to have them, and they've shown themselves to be good operators. So I am in favor, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brett.
Okay, next I have Darren.
Hello, I'm sorry.
Darren?
No, apologies. I didn't realize I was not unmuted. Hi, my name is Darren Major. I work with Ted. So I'm the outreach director for the New York Gay Flag Football League, and just want to speak to the integrity of them as owners, as personal individuals. Rise Bar has hosted several events for the New York Gay Football League, philanthropic moments, and just a generous outreach to the community, which seems like the recurring theme. They help keep the gay community alive, which is one of the cornerstones of Hell's Kitchen, from hosting charity fundraisers to them giving professional support, as well as John and Ted giving financial support. They've always run an upstanding situation. We've had many organizations from Hendrick Martin, from Callan Lord, reputable organizations that have come and seen it as a value asset within the gay community. So as we talk about keeping the community alive and keeping things in a certain respectful mindset, I think they do that very well at Rise. I've been working with them, like I said, since they opened. And I can speak for fact, as a member of the community, when people are coming to Hell's Kitchen, they come for a certain experience, and that is to experience all of New York. And a large chunk of that is the LGBTQIA+ community. And Rise supports that, as well as outside of New York. It's interesting, the noise, I've never experienced that. When they do have lines, and I could say for myself, security is very mindful of making sure that people are not outside loud. Yeah, there might be a line out down the block where we're told, keep your volume down. The volume inside for the video bar, during happy hour, you can have a full conversation. It's not, I think it's unfortunate that the idea of like a live DJ does mean, for some people, boom, boom, boom. I'm at Rise frequently, easy to have a conversation. The volume is very mindful. Even when there's a drag queen on stage, the volume is still be very mindful. So I'm in full support of this, and I'm speaking on behalf of our 250 member league that we cherish Rise Bar. We cherish and look forward to the spot opening up, because one is a beacon to LGBTQIA+ youth who need to see positive examples of positive examples of gay persons owning a business, gay people, gay couples. And I think that Rise fosters that. They bring in the diversity that's unseen in Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen is very kind of monochromatic as far as when it comes to the crowd and the staff. Rise, hands down, is one of the most diverse, welcoming, and inclusive establishments in New York. And I fully expect that exact same thing when they open up the spot. As we're going through this horrible COVID situation, people looking for jobs, looking for opportunities just to better their lives. And Ted and John do that hands down over and over. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Bruce McCaffer. Bruce?
Welcome back, Bruce. Do you miss us?
Bruce, you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I was confused because I didn't really have the normal microphone. It's a different kind of meeting anyway. So I'm here, as always, to speak in favor of Rise, or speak in favor of Ted and his crew. I was thrilled to see they were going to open up a block from my house. I live at 43rd and 10th, right next door to this block. And I kind of don't agree with everything that's being said about the block and about the area and the character. You know, Rise Bar, as was said early on, I agree with everything said about it. It's a clean establishment, it's adult establishment. It's one of the only gay bars I'll go to in Hell's Kitchen, because it is actually a nice place to go. You can go there with friends. The people are polite. It's a more mature crowd, and then a lot of the other bars in Hell's Kitchen, gay bars in Hell's Kitchen. So I was thrilled to see they're opening right next to my house. Lansdowne Road was, I disagree that these are entirely two places of entirely different character. They're both adult bars. Lansdowne Road isn't like the wild bars on 9th Avenue, and Rise isn't like all the wild gay bars on 9th Avenue, on 9th and 10th Avenue either. And I think Ted can control the crowds and the noise. And I think, you know, this building is purpose built as a bar. I believe it was purpose built as a bar. I was there when it opened. I lived there 18 years. So I think that I disagree with Christine. There were always people on the sidewalk with Lansdowne Road. There's always people smoking, girls yelling, you know, but you know what? I also am up a lot late at night. I walk my dog, you know, a lot of times. Hell's Kitchen's become a really, especially the lower 40s, become a really scary place in the last couple of months. And, you know, that block has lost all its, you know, there's only two, there's not much of it. I don't really understand this concentration of bars. There is a bodega and a restaurant on that block in Lansdowne Road. Yes, big whatever the big Mr. Biggs is across the street. The Walters College place is kind of annoying, but you know, this, you know, there were always people on the street, and you know what? There will be people on the street smoking. That's what happens in bars, and quite frankly, thank God at 2 in the morning these days. You know. And you know, I think that you know, I'm very supportive of them as owners. I think they'll run a good place. I think that they'll run a clean place out front. I disagree that Lansdowne Road is it was well run, but it certainly didn't lack crowds and patrons and people on the sidewalks at night. So I disagree with that. This is a whole change of use, and I disagree with that.
Thank you, Bruce.
That's 2 minutes. Okay.
That's more. That's okay.
Okay, next I have David Serrano. David, you can unmute yourself.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, my name is David Serrano. I live at 530 West 46th Street. I've lived here since 2010, and I am between 10th and 11th. I'm also here with Aviva Wheeler, who lives on 43rd Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. We love hanging out together, me and Aviva. We will go up to Rise Bar, have drinks outside. They're very they're very good about keeping people in the space that they're supposed to be. The music is very low. I don't even think they have music.
I don't think they have music right now.
But me and Aviva walk around our neighborhood all the time. And especially on her street, which is 43rd, it is not this quiet, safe little place that these people at the towers keep talking about. It is full of drug addicts and homeless people, especially now. And especially since they started working, building up, Hudson Yards. A lot of those people have been displaced over 42nd Street. They're gonna have security. That's a great thing, especially in this area where homeless people are just everywhere. It's dangerous. We saw literally the other day, we saw people, like 3 or 4 of them, smoking crack in the middle of the day between 43rd between 9th and 10th. So imagine what happens at night.
I saw it again today at 2 p.m. next to my building. A guy just sitting there full on smoking his crack in the middle of the afternoon. I have been to Rise many, many times, and I've literally been redirected because I didn't walk up the ramp the right way.
By their
security is tight. There's no hanging out outside. They're moving people along. If you've not been to Rise, you should go check it out because it is an entirely different vibe than any of the other bars in the local neighborhood. David and myself both live in the lower part of, or 40s down.
Yeah.
And we go up because it is a different vibe than what you're seeing on 9th Avenue.
Exactly.
Which is why it's like a very welcomed opportunity for me. I just
very
moved,
close.
And I literally just moved here from Chelsea on March 19th. And in my entire life living in Manhattan, 25 years, I have never been fearful for my life on my block. And I walk around with a whistle now to keep myself safe because of the things that I'm seeing on my beautiful block of 43rd Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. I would be
Thank you both.
comfortable having them here.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next, I have Claudia. Hold on one second. Where'd her name go? Claudia?
Now I see the unmute button. Thank you. Hi, how are you? My name is Claudia and I live on 56th Street between 9th and 10th. I've been going to Rise since it pretty much just opened. I don't know how many years ago now, but I basically, not to reiterate 1,000, all of the comments that previous people have said, I am for them opening up that the spot at 10th Avenue, mainly because there's nothing down there and it is getting very scary. I rarely go down there because there's nothing there. So I'm not sure what beautiful, quiet place some of these previous people have mentioned, but I don't see it. And their security is very tight. They won't, even if you run into someone on the street while you're sitting at Rise right now that it's outside, they'll just move people along. They're not allowed to stop, say hello. You just kind of like keep the clean street and moving along. So I think they do run a very tight ship, and it's more importantly, it's super, super clean. I personally mostly go during the day when it's very quiet, but I think they will do a great job down there, and they definitely need it.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have Latoya.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi.
Latoya?
Yes. Hi, my name is Latoya LaFleur. I am one of the co-founders of Gotham Cheer. We are a nonprofit cheerleading squad. We cheer for charity. We raise money for LGBTQ youth, and we also work with other nonprofits in the community to raise awareness and to raise money. I have had the distinct pleasure of working with TED since 2017, developing, I wouldn't say programs, but definitely events where we raise money. And I've raised alongside, with his help at Rise Bar, over $25,000 for nonprofits such as Immigration Equality, True Colors United, Outcycling, Fearless Flyers. And I have nothing but great things to say about the way that they partner with the community, the way that they have partnered with us. I think I bring a very unique perspective to the table because I'm not necessarily talking about the cleanliness of the bar or what it's doing necessarily to the community or how it's impacted it, but I'm speaking really to the way that they have chosen to give back. And I know my organization, my team, we appreciate everything that they've done for us. And we definitely look forward to continuing to partner with Ted and his team, and hopefully with the spot in the future to continue to raise money for LGBTQ, homeless youth in particular, but youth, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Latoya.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have Faye. Faye, you can unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a resident of Manhattan Plaza, and I support Alita and Adrian and Marissa in what they have already said. I think that the last thing this neighborhood needs now is another noisy, loud after-hours bar. We have too many problems right now with the homeless, with the disenfranchised people in this neighborhood, to add another attractive nuisance to this neighborhood.
Thank you, Faye.
Okay, next we have Ryan. Ryan, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So my name is Ryan Overberg. I've lived and worked in this neighborhood for almost 20 years. I currently live on 50th and 10th, but I lived on 626 10th Avenue, and I worked at 44 and 10, which is a restaurant, which is almost catty corner of Lansdowne. I've known Ted for a long time, and what I think is positive about him is that he's trying. He has good intentions. Is he perfect? No. Is John Blair perfect? No. Is Rise perfect? No. But the issue is that they are trying and they're constantly updating themselves to be better. I think this neighborhood needs to upgrade themselves to positive, friendly, outgoing spaces. I've seen the comments from Manhattan Plaza saying that they don't want this loud kind of bar. Well, is that a homophobic stance? Because Lansdowne has been there. It was there. It was not perfect, but it was there. Mr. Biggs is there right now on the corner, and that's somehow accepted. I find that that Teddy will make it happen in the fact that it will be clean, positive, and if there are issues, he will fix them. I think that we're in a place right now that overall safety is really important, that having a business there that's not a McDonald's, that's not a Taco Bell, it's not a Panda Express, that just having a business there in general, that they will take community concerns, they will listen, they will apply efforts. And also when it comes to DJs, when you say DJ and say, oh, well, this person's gonna make loud music, no, that's not really true. Any kind of, me as a non-DJ, I can make the music loud, but I'm not going to. The DJ, you can control what's being happening, you can control what's being out there. I think it's more important to have queer establishments that are positive, forward, and that will take feedback from the community to make itself better.
Thank you, Ryan.
Next we have Timothy. Timothy, you can unmute yourself.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Timothy Guest. I live at 400 West 56, apartment 1F, directly above Rise. My window faces 9th Avenue and directly of the outdoor seating that they have currently placed. I've heard a lot of concerns about the noise that could possibly be an issue in the future. They're open up until the legal allotted time. I don't have any issues with the noise. They keep the people outside who are seated quiet. I'm actually in my room right now, and you might have heard a siren, but you cannot hear any noise from the people outside at all. You hear more from traffic than you do them. And if they're able to do this during the day, during these COVID hours, where they have outdoor seating, where there's at least, I don't know how many people you're allowed to have per table, but if they're able to manage the noise out on the street currently, I'm pretty sure that if they allow people inside the building, that they will be able to manage the noise at all times of the day as well. Because currently you can have more people outside than you would if you had being allowed people to enter the building. So if there was any concerns about noise, that's what I'd like to say about that.
Thank you, Timothy.
Timothy, are there more than one apartment right above Rise? Because
yeah, there's my neighbor. I actually talk to him often, and he's a doctor.
Yeah, is he Edward?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I was just confused because we had a letter from him, which I'll summarize later.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next we have Artem. Artem, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, how are you? I'm a resident of Health Kitchen. I live not far away from Rise. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I live not far away from Rise, and I want to join to everything what was said before me. The Rise is a great spot, and it was open not a long time ago, but it became like really a safe and a nice place to hang out. I want to say that right now in the city during pandemic, not a lot of gay bars are open back, and I don't even know if they're going to be open. And I think that someone with experience of operating and managing bars, who doesn't have a lot of complaints anymore, and they manage how to control the crowd, they can make this spot safer and more attractive. Thank you.
Thank you, Artem.
Next, I have Guy. Guy, you can unmute yourself now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Am I too loud?
No.
Oh, my name is Guy. I live in Manhattan Plaza. I used to frequent Lansdowne Road, and just for the record, they always had a DJ there. There was always a DJ. That's just a really good way to employ somebody instead of having a jukebox. Instead of putting your money in, you make a request. Second of all, I'm an old straight white guy, and I have no problems with a gay bar moving into the neighborhood. And most of the people who have come to me and asked not to have it or to go against it always stress the point that it's a gay bar. They never say anything about any other bars in the neighborhood, which quite a few have applied for liquor licenses over the past 6-7 months. I have no problem with these people moving in. I welcome them to the neighborhood. And a lot of people that live in the complex here also frequent Rise and are looking forward to the place opening. And I want to wish them well.
Thank you, Guy.
Next, I have John Carlos.
Hi, this is John Carlos, or JC. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. So I'm just chatting to voice support of the spot. I currently live at 601 10th Avenue on the 2nd floor. I've been here 6 years, and I was actually at the original meeting when this application came forward for the original location right underneath me. And at that time, I did have issues with it, being so close to it from a noise perspective, from a patrons outside perspective. After that meeting, however, I can attest to Ted being very responsive and attentive. He heard my concerns, he worked with me, he actually showed me what they planned on doing at that time by taking me to Rise into some of the apartments, one of the apartments above Rise, to show me how much noise could be heard on a given weekend evening. He even showed me the decibel level machine connected to the computer that accurately measured the decibels going on, again, to make sure from a noise perspective. I obviously know that this new new location is not going to be directly underneath me anymore, but all that to say that they seem very responsive. And lastly, just as supporting it also to echo what has been said about it being more of a disservice to leave these storefronts empty, especially during these times. I have seen, again, outside of my building, outside of Lansdowne, the mattresses where folks have been setting up shop and setting up camp. And that's been very pervasive on our block. And I think it would be a disservice to disallow businesses trying to come in and hopefully prosper and make the neighborhood better. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John Carlos.
Okay, next I have Kathleen Treat. Kathleen, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I am.
Kathleen, you're muted again.
Unmute, Kathleen.
I'm trying.
Okay, we can hear you. Nope, you went back on mute.
I have to keep my finger on this little thing, right? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Kathleen Treat, West 43rd Street, 32 years. I am familiar with John Blair's enterprises and his methods. His reputation as a very bad operator precedes him. Spot is not a bar, it's a club. If they get what they want, this is a club, not a bar. Any arguments in Spot's favor are specious at best. There is not one benefit. to the spot in our neighborhood. Not one. We do not want the spot or any club like it here at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, Faye has her hand raised again. Hold on.
Only
Faye?
one.
No, I was trying to unmute myself. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
And as a rule, Nellie, once is enough.
Okay.
So
I have no one else.
We have no one else. Okay, I would like Ted, if you want to take 2 minutes.
Well,
If
Bert,
anything-
why don't you let me read the written submissions?
I just would like Ted, because he had immediate response, and then we could hear the
Well,
email.
he may have responses to these too, but
Okay, yeah, okay. Go ahead, Frank.
okay.
Ted, could you hold off?
I did want to thank all the community members for joining us and being incredibly succinct in their comments and very polite. So thanks, everybody. The West 44th Street Better Block Association, they would like to express our concerns. We are not opposed to a bar at that location. Lansdowne operated for many years as a considerate, respected member of the community, and we're extremely sorry to see them close. We are, however, opposed to a bar performance venue that will substantially alter the use of the space and create a less desirable and disruptive atmosphere in the neighborhood, extending the nightclub vibe to this residential area of 10th Avenue. The addition of live amplified drag shows and live participatory activities will change this from a low-key non-performance bar into an active performance venue with a highly energized, boisterous patronage that will carry that loud energy onto the streets at early hours of the morning. The neighborhood has endured numerous problems created by venues such as Edelweiss, Pasha, Bartini, Ainsworth Social, Bar 9, and others. We have no wish to fight those battles again. The principal partners in the Spot Bar have checkered histories from past venues, and we therefore are additionally anxious. For these reasons, West 44th Street Better Block Association is opposed to the application of the Spot Bar to open at this location with their stated method of operation. Should the application be approved over community objections, we ask at very minimum that the following stipulations be imposed, which are closing at 1 a.m. weeknights and 2 a.m. weekends, amplified events and shows ending at midnight weekdays and 1 a.m. Friday, Saturday. All windows kept closed. I guess they've agreed to that. Direct number, contact number, good neighbor sign, security guards, prohibiting smoking on the sidewalk, attend block association meetings. These stipulations will be reviewed on a semi-annual basis. In closing, recognizes the precarious time for the restaurant and bar industry, and we realize there are benefits in the Lansdowne space being utilized. However, with more people working from home as the city transforms, and with this community bearing a history of unsavory experiences with uncontrolled bar patrons disturbing and adversely affecting our neighborhood, we ask the community board give full consideration to our reservations and stipulations. Steve Belita from 4954. I'm writing you concerning the application of Spot Bar. HK 4954 stands with the West 45th Street Block Association's letter. Just this year, the applicant's other establishment, Rise Bar, had 6 3-room run complaints, and that's being closed for 3 months. They've admitted to causing problems in the neighborhood and always vow to do better. This application needs strict stipulations if granted. Doug Leland at Manhattan Plaza. I would like to say, as a tenant of Manhattan Plaza and having witnessed the many lies that John Blair told CB4 over Rise a few years ago, I'm dead set against us being granted a license at former Lansdowne space. We already have 8 bars within 1 block, 2 schools close by. David Stewart, who says he's writing on his own behalf, not with respect to the entirety of 4546. We have drastically changed the neighborhood and city. Although we need bars to fill unoccupied spaces, there has to be a different level of consideration for the community going forward. Residents will no longer accept being at the mercy of bad operators in a licensing system that conscripts residents into service as de facto inspectors, investigators, documenters, and reporters of that bad behavior. Lansdowne Road was an exemplary operator and proof that responsible bar owners don't require constant monitoring from the community. Exemplary operation should be the floor and the expectation that operators must meet to gain the privilege of a license. Our community has had multiple battles with venues that showed no concern for the safety and quality of residents. We talked about some of the people 44th Street talked about. It is my belief that Spot has the potential for monumental detrimental impact on the lives of thousands of residents by expanding the nightclub district to 10th Avenue and changing the culture of the neighborhood. In conversations with me, Ted Arenas has repeatedly said he's learned from his past mistakes and wants to be a good neighbor and a good operator. There's some evidence to support this. However, Ted and John Blair both have problematic histories, and we can no longer take operators with checkered histories at their word. For too long, the benefit of the doubt has gone to bar owners. It's time to flip that script and make owners prove they can be good operators. For these reasons, I'm opposed. However, I understand their benefits, and if Ted and John agree to these steps, he'd support them. Again, it's similar to what 44th Street suggested. He had a more elaborate evaluation process where every 6 months they'd be evaluated based on number of complaints, and their hours could be expanded or reduced depending on the complaints. He also suggests that the volume of indoor music be reduced 1 hour before closing time, because he says that customers leave these bars screaming, and therefore, if they're talking less loudly inside, they'll be talking less loudly on the streets. And then I think you saw there were several supportive letters attached to the stipulation application. One came in separately from another tenant that lives directly above Rise Bar in apartment 1E. He says they're very good operators. They run a tight ship. Even though they have live DJ drag shows karaoke, I never hear any noise in my apartment. I must say they've done a wonderful job with their soundproofing and handling of patrons at the front of the building. When I get home from work, I always see a security guard up front doing a great job, keeping the noise level of patrons entering and exiting the building down. They make sure that people are smoking far away from my building, which I appreciate because my bedroom window is right above the entrance of Rise. In addition, I always see the busboy cleaning the sidewalk at night before closing of any loose cigarette butts and trash. Rise always keeps the front of the building well maintained, hosing down the sidewalk and keeping the building looking new with fresh paint. I'm writing you to show my support. They've been good neighbors to us. I know they would be good neighbors to the community living around their new establishment. All right. That's what I have.
There's one more person from the public who signed up who Nellie didn't get a chance to call.
Yes. The next person is Anita. Anita, you can unmute yourself.
I did. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I concur with the letters written by David Stewart and Steve Belita. Steve mentioned 6 311 calls, but he doesn't mention what they were for. All of the 311 calls pertain to noise. Street noise has been a problem for Rise. As groups gather and smoke in front, the spot is a much larger space, accommodating a bigger crowd. If the customers at Rise disturb the neighborhood, it's going to be twice as impactful at the spot. Accordingly, who will be in charge of policing and social distancing? Is this going to be a consideration for the BLP and the SLA? I'm disappointed that the spot didn't seek a location on 9th Avenue as instructed by the BLP. An active bawdy cabaret is not a good fit for that quiet location. I know that BLP is well aware that all bars previously owned by these operators have been problematic. How can they say that they are good neighbors with 6 311 calls during the first 3 months of the year, historically considered the slow season? I don't have to remind BLP that John Blair and Ted Arenas' history of operating their establishments as if they are above the law. If the venue doesn't work, they just change it without seeking approval from the BLP or the SLA. As a matter of fact, they're so above that they're even applying for a space that you told an operator back in March that they couldn't have, but yet they still persist. They're not opening a bar, they want to open a cabaret. I just find it's as if they're slapping BLP in the face. Because of their history, I am hoping that the BLP will do what is right and will take into consideration what the neighbors have said. And if you have to, be very, very strict with the steps. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I live at 333 West 56th Street, around the corner from Rise. And they have just always been problematic. So thank you very much. Have a good
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. I did see some hands from committee people. I'd like to give Ted 2 minutes if you want to take 2 minutes, Ted. You're muted, Ted.
I just want to take a quick minute to just recap. I think one of the things about me that would be, good for this spot is I'm actually a resident of Hell's Kitchen. I've been living here for 17 years, so I actually do care about the community. I know that when people were talking about there were the concerns of the PS51, there were some letters of support that I did get from some people in the community that were not read, which was actually that because of me and one of the events that I had, we were able to keep the funding for the art program at the PS52. So we are actually an ally for the school and not actually a problem. Somebody that mentions up something about pass and operations, and I know some of you are aware of this. 10 years ago, I owned a bar called Bartini. I was in a bad relationship with my partners, and what happened is they basically pushed me out of the company. They ran the place illegally, and they availed my liquor license. I was the one that actually turned them into the SLA and asked for the license to revoke. So I don't like when people try to say that I'm a part of the problem. I'm the reason why that place got shut down, because I didn't want my name tied to that, because my reputation was on the line. And I fought for that spot a few times to actually have it closed and preventing other people from going in at the community board. So for the people that are listening to this for the first time, that's the backstory. Is that 2 minutes, or do I have a second more?
That's about 2 minutes, Ted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or can I make a point?
Go ahead, Donald. You got 2 minutes as well.
I just, sort of in summary, I just think we have to know that this is not a nightclub. This is not a cabaret. And the people that's saying that probably have never been to Rise Bar to see what it is. It has not been unreasonably disruptive to the community. And the best evidence you have of that is you have the two people that live above Rise Bar. Both either spoke or submitted a letter that Frank read that say they don't hear the noise. They don't experience the problems that some of the people that have never been there are saying exist. And I think that's very telling, and I think that that's very important. And even the gentleman, I forgot his name, who lives above the property at 601 10th has now come around and has seemed to express some support. There are not people on the streets all night. It has not been disruptive. I don't think Lansdowne, it sounds from what Bruce said, is not quite the low-key, quiet restaurant that some people may have expressed an opinion that it is. And I think what Bruce said was really rather compelling. This is someone that lives right on that corner, and David Serrano and the woman, I didn't get her name, who spoke with him, who also lived right on 46th Street between 10th and 11th, was very compelling. I don't see that this is a major diversion from Lansdowne. I don't think that the DJ component is a major problem, whether you have recorded music or DJ music. It can be controlled by volume. This is not a dance club. That is not the purpose of the DJs. I think Ted did a great job explaining the purpose and the function of the DJ. And it has been demonstrated in Rise Bar not to create a problem.
Thank you, Donald. I would like now for the committee to focus on what we have to do. It's 9:21. I think what we have to do is come up with a resolution. And it seems to me that we may, if we go for an approval route, it's denial unless these stipulations are made. But I'd like to hear what people have to say. Inga, your hand is up.
Been up for a while. So I have listened all evening to the arguments from both sides. Arguments for this spot are overwhelmingly more concrete than the arguments against it. The arguments against it didn't really have any backbone, shall we say. The arguments for it gave good reasoning. The arguments against it did not. Other than we don't want this, we don't like this, it's not for us. The arguments for it had reasons behind their statements. Bruce, who's a member, used to be a member of the committee, knows the committee well. He knows the history of RISE. He knows them coming before the committee a number of times. So I'm going to reiterate everything and agree with everything that Bruce said. Also, one gentleman from the public mentioned closing 1 hour sooner. Ted already mentioned that they were willing to shut down the shows an hour sooner just to calm people down. I think we've seen them come back multiple times. I think each time they come back, they improve their plan. They may have to work on the queuing, but I don't think it's going to be a problem for them. I think they're really trying to work on everything. Marissa did not oppose it. Let me see what else. The two people that live above RISE were for it. They live literally above it. There are so many more overwhelming and compelling arguments for this spot. The current spot already has a DJ. I am overwhelmingly in support of this application. That's all I have to say.
Okay, I saw Sabrina, you were shaking your head a number of times, yes. And we haven't heard a word from you tonight, so I want to give you the opportunity.
I'm sorry. I am 100% agree with what Inga just said now in support of this application. I hesitated back in, when was it, when they came in February, and a part of it was because of the location, because it was not previously licensed, and the whole issue that it was housing, affordable housing, and then how he was handled by the city, but still it was not appropriate. That said, I don't have any reasons why we should post this application. I think it goes with overall the values of our community, especially for LGBTQ plus safety. I do think that we need to have stipulations in terms of sounding and the time of the closing of the events, or when they have live events, to be sure close down sooner. But I am also very concerned about what's happening with our streets and the emptiness. So I am for this.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to reiterate, there's 4 vacant storefronts plus a vacant lot all in a row. So that, as people mentioned, the street has become very, very bad with homeless, and the activation will certainly be welcome. As Inga mentioned, I think we need to start discussion of winding down the activities, the karaoke and the DJ. I guess what time are people comfortable with to start winding that down towards the 4 a.m. close?
I think, Brian, that's a function of when, if we put a stipulation on closing time. So once we know what closing times we're with, then we can move back from that in terms of the activities, maybe an hour before or an hour and a half before. But I think first before us, if we want to, they've come to us to 3 a.m. Monday through Wednesday, 4 a.m. Thursday through Sunday. So we have to look at those if we want to change differently, and then work on exactly what you said.
Right.
Wait, before you go, Frank, anyone else? Morgan? Wendy? Twee? Christine?
Rob Walker has his hand up also.
Rob, I never can see your hand because all I see is a telephone.
I'm good.
I'd be in favor, especially if, Teddy, you're going to use the current security you're using at Rise. I think they're doing a good job on the street right now with this unique situation we're in. And as Brian said, I go out late at night. He didn't say that. I go out late at night, and as Brian said, a lot of those storefronts are empty. And that has become a little hangout. All the stoops on 44th Street and all that stuff too, but there seems to be a collection between the pet store and the vacant lot. So I would be welcoming to a late night venue that would be able to put some security on the street right now. It's getting, I moved here in 19, who knows when, and it's getting kind of old.
19.
I would support the application. I guess we're going to discuss the hours as our block association noted. Thank you.
Twee?
Yes, I guess I have a larger, bigger picture question here. I don't seem to be, given what everyone says, I'm not opposed to what's going on, but this also just seems to assume that nothing COVID is happening. Like we're talking about inside capacity, we're talking about cabaret, we're talking about crowds. It just all seems very bizarre right now. Well, when does it actually take effect, and how can we really, like at least with the first application, we said, okay, with the outdoor garden, it's going to be 54, it's going to be down to 26 for the outdoors. I mean, we can't even do indoor spaces right now anyway. So is this just in anticipation of when it opens up? And then everything is like, okay, binary on, off. We can all now go to our normal lives and we'll anticipate that versus, limited capacity indoors, the way we talked about it before in last month. That was my first question. My second question had to do with what people are now talking about with storefronts and how they're all empty. There will be security in front of this one, so that'll be great. It could be that since there aren't any tourists a lot, that if this is going to be popular, that in those surrounding empty storefronts, you might have more homeless people saying, hey, here's a spot where we can ask for money. And it could be that, security, do they expand their radius, and, how do you handle that?
To answer your first point, even before COVID, it was taking at least 6 months to get a liquor license from the SLA, and I assume it is even longer. So what applicants like Spot are doing are applying for the way they want to operate when, I will say when, not if, when things return and there are no further restrictions on social distancing or capacity. So this is their maximum capacity, maximum hours at full throttle. If they happen to get their license and we're still in half capacity, they would have to reduce what they told us here by half. If there's still social distancing, they'll have to do that. So, but it's impossible to predict, where we're going to be at the time they get their license 6, 7, 8 months from now. So it would all be adjusted backwards from what they are presenting and getting approved now.
Christine?
Yes. But wait a second though. Did my second question make sense?
It did, and in fact, I've watched, there's a outdoor dining place, Meme, on the corner of 44 and 10th, and they're like homeless people with like big sticks banging on the table of diners if they won't give them money. I mean, it's insane. So I think, you're going to need some real security if this stays this way. Now, a lot of this, what's happening right now are the people relocated to the hotels, like the Cachet Hotel, which is, on 42nd and 10th, and presumably again, when the emergency is over, those people will go back to where they were. But again, no one knows when and if that'll happen.
Christine?
So yes, this is an interesting discussion here. So the way I'm hearing the testimonies is that we had essentially people representing about 2,500 people, 2,500 residents, plus the 44 block association, which is another 500, so 3,000 residents saying we are opposed to it. And then we had a number of people which are living on 56th Street, 57th Street, which are current patrons of Rise, and Bruce, who's a current patron of Rise, who said he's in favor of it. So to me, what I heard is I heard a very, very vast majority of the people who live right around this location saying, you know, we are not in favor of it. And I hear what Inge is saying, it's very loose, but, you know, I'm also not hearing a clear benefit to the community as is required from 500 feet rule. It's very loose. I mean, we need the same Rise a second time. That's not a benefit to me for the community. And I want to say that I think Rise Bar has done a lot of progress in improving their operation, and they are much, much better than they were at the beginning. Still work in progress, as they say. So based on those things, I don't see the benefit to the community, and I think the very, very large portion of the community which has been speaking and representing is against it. And one of our job is to listen to the community. And when it's Hell's Kitchen, I'm trusting the report, you know, the people that spoke around that and live around that. I also would be careful about not reacting just to, oh, wow, there are homeless people and boarded, you know, stores. That's going to go away. That's just an interim situation here. So we don't want to approve bars because they are, you know, are repellent to homeless people. I don't think. So I think that's my view, and I don't think we have heard a conclusive case that there is a huge benefit to the community and specifically to the community who lives right around there.
I heard it differently. I'm sorry, Donald. I heard it differently, Christine, that the block associations, the 44th Street Block Association, and what is it? What's Steve Belita's group called? 46 to
yes,
50 something.
49 to 54.
49 to 54 and the 40. I heard them writing us letters the way we write our letters. That we really don't like it, we deny it, unless these stipulations are made. And they said,
I mean, I heard.
I'm just saying, this is the way I heard it.
Right.
This is the way I heard it.
First and foremost, Manhattan Plaza, which is like a huge, I mean, is a town.
Manhattan Plaza is certainly a huge presence.
When at the same time, you know, a few years back, we had two people having a sidewalk cafe around London Terrace, it was a disaster. And now we have a new establishment.
I don't know why you brought up London Terrace.
What? And now we have a very large block which says, you know, we don't think we should have that, and I think they should be entitled to have their say about what is a benefit to the community. The 500-foot rule say you have to have a benefit, a clear benefit to the community, and I don't know that we have heard that.
The reality of the 500-foot rule is that people go in. I'm sorry, Donald. I don't want to disparage lawyers or people who assist applicants, but we know what happens at a 500-foot rule. So someone goes in there and they do boilerplate, and they say they create jobs. That's what happens at a 500-foot rule.
Well, I've been at a few 500-foot rules myself, and we have won some of them, by the way. And so I think there was an intention. So listen, You don't have to fight me. I
No,
just
I'm
said
not.
what I had to say. I just said what I
I'll
have
just
to
make
say,
two
just
quick
like everybody
points.
else.
Can I make just 2 quick points about that? First of all, Christina, I don't agree that there are 3,000 people opposed to this. The Tenants Association, I don't know what they did. The board made a decision, but you're assuming that every single person in that building is opposed to this. I don't believe that for a minute. And in fact, Guy Crowell, one of the speakers tonight, is from that building. He supports this, and he specifically said others in his building are looking forward to it. So I don't think that the residents are overwhelmingly, massively opposed to this. And take our 500 petitions, knock out 100 of them. We have 400 people in the community, not only in the 50s, but in the 40s, including Bruce, who support this. Last point I want to make on this is the public interest test does not say it has to be a big or benefit to the community. That's not what the statute says. When you talk about the public interest, they evaluate, can you control noise? Can you control traffic? How many places are within the area? Are you adding another license to the area? That's the public interest test. I think sometimes people misinterpret that, and no disrespect intended, lawyers do that too, and say it has to be a benefit. If you had to show a benefit, I would say 80% of the places that have licenses would never have a license because it's not necessarily a benefit. But I think it's an important distinction to just keep in mind. Robert, we can't hear you.
Other committee people? Thank you, Donald.
Can we do a little call to see how
Wait a second. If everyone's spoken, I guess I'm pretty conflicted here. I was impressed by what I heard from some people, like the guy who lives next door to this location who's come around and the points Bruce makes. I guess my personal view, and it probably has to do with that I've lived through a lot of this. It seems like the 3 places that these operators have opened in this community, Bartini, Rise, and XL in the Out Hotel, have all at least opened with major operational problems that have taken years to work out, and some have never worked out. XL got worse, until it finally got closed down for all the drug dealing and other stuff going on in there. I think just personally, it's going to be hard for me to get over that, sort of the history I've lived through with these operators. I believe Ted very sincerely that he's good intentioned in reforming. But, 3 openings, 2 by an experienced operator, John Blair, that have sort of gone awry. So again, just my thoughts. I do think that if this goes anywhere, I hope everyone seriously considers shorter performance hours and shorter closing hours along the lines of what the block associations are requesting. And Bert, I read the 44th Street letter as the way we write an outright denial and then say, but if you're going to disagree with us, here's what we need. It's not our usual deny unless. I think it's stronger than that.
I do think that if we come up with a resolution, deny unless these steps are made, some of those steps that were suggested by the block associations be incorporated in our resolution. I would suggest that during the week, and this is just my suggestion, I'm open to what other committee people say, that during the week, certainly now I don't know in terms of the SLA, you have a trial period. Does the SLA go for trial periods? That for 6 months we have something and then come back again, or 8 months have something and come back again? Frank?
Well, Donald probably knows better. I've not heard of that. I mean, aside from the fact that you can always ask
Come
for
back. Yeah.
alterations take time.
Well, I certainly during the week, I would go for something like 2 o'clock during the week, nothing later than that. And on the weekends, maybe a 3, or maybe a 4 on Saturday and Sunday. But the live entertainment definitely stopping around midnight, 1 o'clock. That would be my throw out, open for discussion, possibilities.
I'd be comfortable with something like that. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, me too. It
Me
sounds
too.
good to me, Bert.
I agree on that.
Is the live on the weekend only, or is that during the week as well?
I think, Ted, you had said something about that the live would not be every day.
That's right. We would limit the number of times a week that we had the drag shows. I think, what do we say, Ted? I think no more than 4 times a week for that.
I mean, on the weekdays, I would have it. And then on Friday and Saturday, I have a performer do 1 number. Usually they do 1 number at midnight. That's it. There's no hour show. So yeah, it's pretty much just during the week.
Yeah, and I think that we could probably agree that on the weekends, those shows would not go past 2 a.m. and on the weekdays, not past 1:30. So there would be nothing past those hours in terms of live entertainment.
I mean, I can even do better than that. We won't have any shows past 12:30 on weekends because they're only doing 1 number. Usually they do 1 number at midnight where they're lip syncing, and that's it. So I would be happy with doing that. Your recommendation for lowering hours, what you suggest, I'd be willing to work with you on that. I definitely would like to have the weekends at 4 a.m., but there's one other thing that I'd like to ask for 4 a.m. Is that if there's a holiday Monday, that on Sunday I would be able to open to 4, or Game Night or New Year's, because those are crucial times, especially for Pride, to be able to accommodate.
But you know that the SLA doesn't like to do, 1 day on, 1 day off, etc. That we have tried to do that in the past. That doesn't work.
Well, what if we
Define
do?
it clearly, I think they would go along with it. If it's a national, in other words, if Monday's a national holiday.
Yeah, I would suggest Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 o'clock, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which is the weekend, 4 o'clock. And then on holiday Mondays, Sunday could be 4.
Say that again, Inga. Sunday, Monday.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 o'clock, close. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 a.m. And then if there's a Monday holiday, that Sunday is considered a weekend, so that would be a 4 a.m.
Inge, we're going to make the same hours for this sidewalk cafe on 23rd Street that you was not good because we had 2 tables, right?
Christina's threatening. Be careful,
Yes.
Inga.
I think
I am.
if we're going to give them some Sundays, I'd rather have Thursday be at the weeknight hours.
Yeah, but we usually do Thursday as a weekend, and that's a weekend night. I mean,
Yeah,
let's not do the Sunday then. No
this
Sunday.
place is already licensed for 4 a.m. across the board.
Yeah, but it's never been open to 4 a.m. as far as I can tell. And
Yeah, but I wouldn't, if I were Ted, I wouldn't want to reduce those hours. I mean,
But you are not Ted.
Can we compromise and do 3 a.m. on Thursdays?
Yeah, that sounds
Good
reasonable.
compromise.
Okay, sounds good to me. And let me get the live entertainment. Saturday, Friday and Saturday, 12:30, live entertainment. And during the week,
Does it start? Is it a half-hour show?
On the weekends, we have basically like a 5-minute number that a drag queen goes on stage and does 1 number. That's it. She's basically there to walk through the crowd and take pictures with people.
So it ends by 12:30 then?
okay. But what about during the week? We're talking 3 nights during the week?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And Thursday.
That's 4 nights.
But these are typically the nights that we do 2 o'clock, right, on the avenue.
Yeah, I mean, for those nights, I would like to do 1:30, if possible.
So it would end a half an hour before?
I would like it at least an hour before closing.
Okay, 1 o'clock is fine.
At least an hour before.
So 1 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and when Sunday's not a holiday. And 12:30 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And if it's a regular 2 a.m. closing on Sunday, that's not a holiday, can I also have the
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock? Yeah.
Yeah.
Performers.
Yep.
And go
think
ahead,
the
Frank.
1 o'clock performance thing is really late.
The what?
I think allowing performances to 1 a.m. is really late.
I agree with Frank. I'm just surprised during the week they're later than on a Saturday, which is earlier.
The reason why we have that on weekdays and a little bit later is because we don't have a lot of customers coming in. And so we have basically just table service, and having the crowd a little bit later gives us an opportunity to make a little bit more money. It's not as busy as the weekends, obviously, because most people aren't working and they come out. So it's an opportunity for us to have a little bit later and get people to stay a little bit longer.
That makes sense.
I mean, if you want me to, can we do 12:30 during those times? Would you guys be open to that?
I would be open to that only because it matches the weekend.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
So we're talking then live performances ending at 12:30, regardless of the length of the performance, which you're saying on the weekends is only a couple of minutes, but during the week is maybe a full hour.
So yeah, so 7 days a week, it ends, live ends at 12:30.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
How does that sound to you, Frank?
I'm probably voting against the whole thing, so I'll be okay with this. Donald, can I ask you another nerdy question? The use group here allows eating or drinking establishments with entertainment, but not dancing, with a capacity of 200 people or fewer. I cannot find dancing defined anywhere in the zoning resolution. And I see on your application, you have performers dancing. Do you have any idea if that's allowed?
I don't think it's a problem. And I'm not a zoning expert, but my understanding is the dancing use group would be required if they were patrons dancing.
Right.
If it's employees, it's treated differently.
Because the reason I remember Bert, when Blazing Saddles wanted to open in a place that had the same use group, and I think they were only performers dancing. And I think
the bartenders in Flaming Saddles were dancing.
Yeah, and it was determined that that was not allowed under this. I don't know if it's determined.
We can check on it. It's like when they had the cabaret license before it was repealed, you only needed it. You only needed that if the patrons were dancing.
Most female impersonators aren't really dancing anyway. I mean, they're moving and shaking.
I don't want to waste a lot of time, but Donald, can you look into it? Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. I would also.
And we have.
Go ahead,
I have
Christine.
another question on the capacity. Then you're going to have more than 74, and you don't have 2 exits. And what are you going to do with that?
There is a PA permit already for the space.
For that capacity?
Yeah, for the 143. It's a PA permit for the
Okay.
143.
Okay.
I would also want and steps which are fairly normal. And I think you've mentioned this before, Ted, that you have no problem in giving out your cell phone number, just about to the block associations, even to Manhattan Plaza. In fact, specifically to the Manhattan Plaza Tenants Association. Okay?
Well, I'm glad I'm giving that and my security guard working the door, because I want to be very clear of something.
Okay.
I want to put on the spot.
Okay. And also, the block association groups, we would like, as a stipulation, I think, that you regularly attend working at a relationship. And even in Manhattan tenants who maybe would not be, I don't know what the relationship you could work out with them, but if possible, attend their meetings or report to them, listen to their complaints, and the other block associations on a regular basis. If the block association meets once every 5 weeks, you have somebody there once every 5 weeks.
Okay.
Unless they tell you, no, we don't need you this time, Ted.
I'll be there.
And one other thing, just the queuing. I know he's trying to work out the queuing, but just make an effort to not have too many people queuing on the sidewalk.
Well, not only queuing, but also smoking.
Smoking.
And occupying the sidewalk, because I can still remember Martini not being able to walk on 10th Avenue.
Make a better effort.
And recently, I went to Rise and I couldn't walk through the sidewalk before COVID. So the whole picture of, everything is well under control there is slightly it's not my experience.
Best effort to keep the sidewalks clear. I mean, they can't make people leave, but they can try.
Yes, they should. They should. We don't want to see people outside hanging and nobody being able to go through.
Also, what was done for capacity for the basement? There was like 4 in case of emergency to go through.
That's what Frank had said. Yeah.
I'm just saying the C of O only listed as 4 people. Beyond that, I don't know if it's a legal emergency exit or not.
Is there any way of them getting back to us before we figure this out about that?
Well, the C of O is what it is. I guess it's a legal issue about whether, use of exits. Donald, does the public assembly permit address like what the second exit is? And
The PA plans would. The permit, I don't think, says anything. I haven't seen the PA plans. I mean, this is a PA that Lansdowne had that's been around for.
Morgan, do you know the answer?
The fire department also has a version of a PA, as far as I know, they still do. So you get a fire escape plan as well as a full PA from the buildings department. Am I right, Donald, that the fire department, are they still issuing a PA plan for over, maybe for over 200? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah,
the fire department has their own PA plan.
Yeah, I just haven't seen them.
Okay.
Will we get a stipulation for the soundproofing for following all?
So let me read what I have. So this is ones we talked about, ones I wrote down during the discussion, and ones from the community letter that people seem okay with. Donald, could you listen? Because we're not going to renegotiate these.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at my pad because I'm writing it down.
Okay. All live entertainment, including lip syncing, will end no later than 12:30 a.m. every night. And Ted, that means any kind of entertainment. I don't want to have this fight again about whether drag queens are live entertainment.
Does that include karaoke?
What?
Does that include karaoke?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's
That's
say
live. Karaoke's live, huh?
But that doesn't include the DJ.
Doesn't include the DJ. Unless he sings or dances, he or she. Applicant will take all reasonable steps to ensure no queuing or loitering by patrons on sidewalk. All windows, doors, and French doors will be closed whenever any music or amplified sound is played inside. All entrances and exits of patrons will be through entrance vestibule only. No patron entrances or exits will be permitted through French doors. Applicant will retain the interior vestibule shown on submitted floor plan. All recommendations of Acoustalog report, dated whatever the date is, will be implemented, including those regarding ongoing operations. The direct phone numbers and direct emails of all, I don't know how you want to phrase this. The community said all managers and partners. I don't think we need that. What do you? This is for notice.
You said security people, Ted.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give them the security guy's number at the door and my personal number so they can contact me directly if there's any issues.
Okay. So what should we call you? Do you want to be in this by name or do you want to be called something?
A title.
What's your title?
You just put me as the operating manager, owner. Okay. I'm sure that my GM also, Tracy Troy, can give you her number, but let me just do that first because I haven't asked her about that yet.
Okay. Direct phone numbers and direct emails of operating manager and security team will be provided to all block associations, tenant associations, and community groups. Good neighbor signs to be posted prominently outside the venue and at the exit, encouraging respect for the neighbors, keeping noise down, and no smoking on sidewalk. Security guards to be provided outside the venue, and those guards instructed to request exiting patrons to be respectful of sleeping neighbors, keep conversations low, and refrain from loud activities.
Frank, I'm sorry. What did you say about smoking?
Just signs.
Sign, okay.
And the owners and or managers at the request of any block association, tenant association, or community group will attend meetings to answer complaints and concerns.
So please be nice to our neighbors. Don't stand here and smoke under their windows. Those kind of signs.
Yeah.
Frank, did you mention the closing hours?
No, because I was gonna, sorry, I readjust those on the front, so.
Okay. Because we said no live entertainment after 12:30.
Right, lady. And then the hours are?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 a.m., Thursday, 3 a.m., Friday, Saturday, 4 a.m., and those Sundays on a 3-day weekend and Gay Pride, 4 a.m.
So
New Year's Eve, if you would.
What?
And New Year's Eve, if you would.
New Year's Eve, yeah.
Isn't there a special application for New Year's Eve that everybody does?
Yes, but generally you can get an all-night permit, but they generally will only give you that if you have a 4 a.m.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So New Year's Eve.
Isn't New Year's Day, is New Year's Day a federal holiday?
Yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't always fall on a Sunday.
Oh, so we're
Right.
saying,
Because it's not one of those Monday federal holidays.
so we're saying
If
all,
New Year's Day falls out on a Sunday, they don't give you an all-night permit because you can't.
okay, guys, help me articulate this.
So if there's a Monday holiday,
Is it federal? Yeah.
comes at 4 a.m. i.e. Labor Day, Memorial Day, whatever's a
President's Day.
Veterans Day, Columbus Day.
No, not Veterans Day.
This is not a succinct articulation. Hold on.
When there's a federal holiday designating when there's a federal designated Monday holiday, 4 a.m. on Sunday, because it's a federal designation. We get President's Day, no more Washington's birthday or Lincoln's birthday. It's just we get one, President's Day, and that's a Monday.
What
Who
about
cares when they were born?
What about Martin Luther King?
That's a Monday. So
That's a Monday.
Good.
National holiday.
And
Also, not
Pride,
Hunter's birthday.
we open the night of Gay Pride, right?
Sunday Gay Pride.
Yeah, the Sunday night of Gay Pride.
Okay, applicant can remain open until 4 a.m. on Sunday eves of federal holidays, on Gay Pride Sunday, and then on New Year's Eve. Right?
Okay. So that's our resolution there. Inga?
Motion to approve with those steps.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
That was you, Mike, and I?
Yes, sir.
Rob?
Yes.
Okay. You got the count, Nellie? All those opposed?
Wait, keep the hands up for the yes, please.
And Mike and Rob are
Except
yes.
Christine and me.
Is that 9?
Okay.
And those against?
Sorry, one more.
3.
3.
Three against. Abstaining? Present not eligible? Frank, you did really very well summarizing the resolution you voted against.
I'm very objective.
I'm sorry, was that 9 to 3?
9 to
Only
3.
11 people. Must be 8 to 3.
8 or 9?
There are only 11 people on the committee.
It's 8 yes, 3 no.
8 to 3. Got it. Thank you very much, everybody.
1, 2. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Good luck.
Seconded. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
I feel like the Waltons.